At this moment, all the students in the square, including the tutor, disdain, laugh and sneer at Yunwoo. It seems to have completely disappeared. Yes, only the shock and disbelief. But then a voice came out. I want to complain. At this time, the people around seemed to react. After wiping, the noisy people looked over. See, sitting on the other side of Yihan, stand up from the seat, coldly looking at the clouds. The world knows that Miss Nine of the Cloud family has been born a waste and a sick child since she was born, but this Miss Nine of the Cloud family doesn't look like the one of the Cloud family at all. I'd like to complain that she's in the college at the top of Miss Yunjiajio. See, this words people on the square, immediately peep forward. But a lot of people began to agree. Yes, everyone in the Zhou dynasty knows that the 9th Miss of Yunda General's military mansion is naturally ill and a zero-talent waste. If she is really the 9th Miss of Yunjia, with her present strength, how can there be no news? Yes, I haven't thought of it yet, but it makes people feel suspicious. If she really uses the identity of Miss Yunjiajio, then she is not qualified to participate in this competition. Yes, we want to play again. Race again. The defeated cadets, hearing this, are all in a row, hoping to compete again. In that way, they will have another chance. See, that student coaxed together, the tutors also looked at each other, in the heart also feel some suspicious. Because the rumors about Miss Yun Jiajio were well known by the whole Zhou dynasty. If Miss Yun really achieves this strength, it's impossible that no news will come out. Is the cloud dance in front of us really fake? Who said my baby granddaughter was a fake? But also at this time, a very dissatisfied voice came from the crowd in the square. Then two figures came out of the crowd. Hearing the sound, everyone looked at the sound. When they saw that they were just two ordinary-looking young people, the people present could not help frowning. Who is that? However, as the sound came, the willow sitting on the throne helplessly helped his forehead, as if he was depressed and speechless. How did you come to the college? Lu Zi looked at the two people who came to the cloud dance. After a helpless question, he stood up from his seat. Yunqi glanced at the willow coming down angrily, then lifted the fake skin and hair on his face in public. A head of white hair, a face of wrinkles, but with a pair of extremely sharp eyes. That momentum seems to have changed in an instant. If I don't come, I won't know that people in the whole college treat my precious granddaughter like this. You're a tutor and director, and you don't even say a fart. Yunqi said that he was very angry. 3 days ago, I heard that Cloud Dance was going to participate in the quota competition of the selected college. Yunqi, who has been waiting in the city, naturally wants to see his baby granddaughter's action in the game after hearing the news. Also with Cloud Coldy so disguised sneak in. But in the past 2 days, Yunqi is so angry that her eyes are on fire, especially angry. Because all the students in this college, whether in the face or behind, disdain and ridicule Cloud Dance. He also said that the Cloud family is playing tricks and buying, although those gossips, with his age identity, really do not have to worry about so much. Can hear more, how he wants to endure, but also a belly of fire. But in the past 2 days, he saw Yunwoo. Her calm nature made Yunqi feel happy again. In the past 2 days, in the dark, Yunlungi has been watching Yunwoo and her taunting voice for those gossips, which is quiet, calm and indifferent. All of a sudden, he had a feeling that he saw how he was treating her. At that time, because Mrs. Murong was in Yunfu, although he gave her some good looks, they were all impure and not really, and her attitude seems to be the scene in front of her. He finally had some understanding at the sound of Yunqi's loud voice. Liuzi's mouth drew. But he said in a low voice, well, if you have something to say later, you will be allowed to watch the battle for the sake of your family. With that, Liuzi threw a glance at Yunqi. Yunqi is an old master, so naturally, he won't be forced to leave the stage in front of the whole students. Well, but who just said that my baby granddaughter is not from the Cloud family? When Yunqi spoke in a loud voice, his eyes swept towards Yihan on the other side. Yihan's face is not so ugly at this time. Originally, I was able to make a direct contribution to the cloud dance on this issue. But did not think, this suddenly appeared so two people. After glancing at Yihan, Yunqi swept away towards the people around him. A strong breath accompanied by an oppressive majesty swept towards the humanity around him. She's Yunwu, my granddaughter of Yunqi, and the real ninth lady of our family. Can anyone else pretend to be her? In the future, if you dare to gossip behind your back, even if my granddaughter is kind-hearted, our Cloud family won't forget that. Cloud Cold E also lifted the camouflage, a face of majesty swept around. Although he didn't say anything, many students were shocked by the general's momentum. Is this the general? So Cloud Dance is really Miss Nine. The whole square, once again, was completely silent. Looking at this scene of Cloud Dance, I was surprised. They sneaked into the college. As for the reason, Yunwu can't guess. Girl, at this time, you should open the signal bomb I gave you. After taking back his sight, Yunqi said in a low voice. When she entered the college, she said that if she had anything to do, she would pull it apart and they would come. Smell speech, Cloud Dance can't help but feel a warm heart, lips can't help but outline, asked. Why are you still here? Didn't you go back to the Imperial City? But Yunqi grinned, but if you have something to do, you stay for a few more days. After hearing that my baby granddaughter wants to compete for a place in the college, how can we not come and have a look? However, at this time, Liuzi came in a low voice. You dead old man, sit in the competition area. The third round of the competition is about to start. What are you talking about here? What else did Yunqi want to say, but there was more sight around, and some words were not easy to say on the spot. Finally, it did not continue to say, Girl, a good game, I and your father to the side to wait for you. With that, Yunqi and Yunlingyi go to the competition area and sit on the empty seat beside Long Qingxie. Cloud Dance looked at them, then drew back her sight. Because at this time, when the Master of Ceremonies responded, he received the director's attention and immediately called out. In the third round, the match of 12-6 officially started. The Cloud dances against Yihan. See, in the teacher's shout, many people around Leng for a while. Immediately, they all looked at the challenge arena on which Yunwu walked. In the first round, the Cloud dance is against Yihan. Yihan is defeated. In the third round, why are they two? However, just Cloud Dance's hand, let many people see, Cloud Dance that, 7-level medium term, strength. That's the same level strength as Yihan. Maybe, at the beginning, Yihan underestimated the enemy, so he was shot down by mistake. This time, the two men are equal in strength, which is estimated to be better than just now. Yihan. Cloud Dance. The rules are that two people salute each other. However, I haven't waited for the tutor to start. A strange and strong breath, just like a boa constrictor attack, with the power of lightning, straight to the cloud. This scene makes Yunqi and Yunlingyi stand up from their seats. 9 peaks. Has he been hiding his strength? Yunqi's voice suddenly sank. There's something wrong with his breath. Cloud Cold E also low way. That breath is a bit strange to normal people. However, that Yihan suddenly shot, with that strong strange breath, also let the people on the scene is a Leng. What's going on? But at that time, the Cloud dance that stood opposite Yihan also moved back in that instant. Yihan's attack directly runs through the shadow of Cloud dance. This scene was clearly seen by everyone present. A hand to Cloud dance, is a dead hand. Yihan saw that he was defeated in the attack, and his heart was gloomy and angry. Now he is full of strength, the strength of the 9th level peak, and even almost all the instructors on the scene are not his opponents. What's more, he made a quick move unexpectedly. Can that Cloud dance, unexpectedly escaped again? Damn it! Tear at this time, Yihan's right hand, which originally clenched his fist, suddenly rose high. At that time, the clothes on his arm were torn open. The huge muscle is full of a strange and powerful force, which quickly attacks the Cloud dance. Yi-han's eyes are full of haze and coldness, and his attack speed doesn't slow down the second half of the point. You can't help showing your prototype at last. Cloud Dance, a pair of careless side back of retreat, looking at that hit Yi-han, the corner of the mouth slightly yang said a word. The bottom of the eye is cold. Because, she can feel, this leaf-cold beast, speed and strength increased a lot obviously. Look at his animal-like arm, it should be a power ape arm. Generally, the speed of the power type is relatively slow. However, Yi-han's speed was obviously not slow, but extremely agile. Smell speech, Yi-han is a little unidentified. She said she finally showed her prototype. Did she know that he was? As soon as this idea passes by, Yi-han's eyes brush with ferocity. Then she can't stay. Now that you know, leave your life behind. Yi-han whispered. A strong burst of attack, immediately toward the Cloud Dance around the cage. That kind of feeling is like manipulating a certain force in the air, directly cutting off the back road of Cloud Dance, and imprisoning her in that force. At this moment, the present tutor can feel it instantly. Air imprisonment martial arts. Isn't that the secret book of the academy? How could he? As soon as a tutor felt the fluctuation in the air, one stood up and frowned at Yi-han on the stage. The senior tutor who belongs to Yi-han's tutor is also surprised to see Yi-han. How could he know this kind of martial arts in inner school? Is it the last time he said that he wanted to find some martial arts skills in the Kangwoo Pavilion, but he sneaked into the interior to steal them? But there are not 2 administrators inside. How can he get in? See, in that tutor voice, people in the square, obviously also by the stage, that strange speed attack Yi-han, to attract attention. What a strong breath. What a powerful martial art. But what's the matter with Yi-han's arm? How do you feel? Like the arm of an ape. And white hair. However, Yi-han didn't pay attention to what the people below thought. Now his first goal is to kill her. Never let others know the existence of the Beast Gate. At the moment when Yunwoo was trapped, Yi-han's left arm was torn. The left arm was also brutalized, and the arms of 2 giant heroes obviously made Yi-han's whole person extremely uncoordinated. Can see his arms beast, 2 strong arms, filled with a wave of strength. The next moment, he suddenly attacked the Cloud Dance, and at the same time, his 10 fingers suddenly grew sharp long claws. Just like 10 sharp swords, Choyunwoo chopped down his body. There was a feeling of cutting her in half. This scene changed the faces of the present tutors, Liuzi, including Yun-chi and Yun-lengi. But before they could stop it, the imprisoned Cloud Dance disappeared in full view of the public. Yi-han, after a while, the fundus of the eye flashed a wipe, can't believe. How is that possible? Air confinement, in addition to confinement, directly determines the people in the air. No matter how strong and fast the man is, he can't disappear without breaking through the air confinement. What's going on? Since you want my life, I'll take it. At this time, a cold voice came from behind Yi-han. What? Yi-han's pupil shrinks. Brush. Poof. As soon as the cold light passed by, the sharp sword was stabbed into the body. Yi-han turns his head and looks at the Cloud Dance with a sneer in the corner of his mouth. Just as he turned his head. Shwa. The knife went a little deeper. Yi-han's face turned white, and a mouthful of blood oozed from his mouth. The smell of blood soon filled the air. But Yi-han is still angry and cold, waiting for the clouds to dance. Who are you? With his strength, plus the power of the beast. Can't beat such a weak girl. It's humiliation, but it's also fear. She absolutely can't be that 9 young ladies who are sick and wretched. So, who is she? Who is it? Hearing his question, Yunwoo's smile deepened a little. You really shouldn't ask me this question. You should ask your lord who I am. My lord? Did she ever see him? Yi-han opens his eyes wide, opens his mouth and stares at Yunwoo. He wants to open his mouth, but it seems that everything is stuck in his throat. But Cloud Dance done, the fundus of the eye seemed to flash a bloody coldly. This has to wait for him to also arrive at the hell of time, you again slowly ask him. What? Yihan's heart trembled and his pupils suddenly widened. But in that second, the cold light passed by. Ah! The scream suddenly raised, and the roar of the beast almost shook the whole square. When everyone reacted, the whole audience, including the tutor, looked at the challenge arena in surprise. I saw that on the challenge arena, it was the 2 arms and claws that had been cut off and turned into the original shape, and Yihan who was still lying on the challenge arena twitching. And the cloud dance of a unique cold atmosphere. Bloody? This air is full of the smell of blood, but, seeing this scene, no one came out to say a word. Because, the people present seemed to be shocked. In addition to Yunwoo's hand and her sudden change of aura, there is the pair of beast arm claws. What the hell is that? That pair of obviously Warcraft's claw arm, is it really cut off from the human body? That Yihan, is Warcraft transformed into human form? Or who is it? People are not dead yet. Isn't that against the rules of the competition? Cloud Dance raised Mao to see to that master of ceremonies teacher under that challenge arena, indifferent voice said. But her indifferent voice seemed to spread out towards the square like a megaphone, and all the people present could hear it clearly. At this time, the tutor on one side finally responded. Almost immediately up, toward the ground twitching Yihan explored, and breathing, people are still alive. However, in such a situation, he could only breathe at most. How can we judge? Cloud Dance wins this one. But at this time, the majestic voice of Liuzi came from the theme. It seems that no one is against this verdict. In fact, no one is qualified to oppose it. After hearing the announcement, Yunwoo didn't stay in the challenge arena any longer. After walking down from the challenge arena, he went to the position of Long Qingxie and Yunqi. But at this time, even if I die, I will let you be buried with me, a hoarse and angry voice came hysterically from behind Yunwoo. A strange black light passed through the back of the Cloud Dance. This scene, almost did not give the audience the opportunity to react, had to stare a pair of eyes, looking at the challenge arena ladder, that was black light through the cloud. Girl. Little dance. On the seats of the competition area, Yun Qi and Yun Lingyi's faces changed, and almost at that moment they rushed straight to the past. Wuk Xinjiu on the other side was also surprised. Some of the tutors didn't respond, including Lu Zi, the director of the tutor. However, only the dragon, who was wearing black sand, was still sitting on the seat, looking at the evil spirit. Kill gently a word, spit out from his lips. And also in his that word just a fall of that second, a burst of exclamation like poor gas sound set off. Suck. How possible? At that moment, Wu Xingyu on the other side suddenly stood up from his seat, and his eyes, which were always disguised as smiling and gentle, suddenly widened. Staring at the challenge arena, the cloud dancing figure, which was clearly penetrated, gradually twisted and disappeared when it was visible to the naked eye its shadow. Its remnant shadow. In the situation just like that, not to mention the strength of the 9th level peak, even the strength of the great martial arts master is absolutely impossible to avoid. Thousands of people in the square saw it with their own eyes, and the body of Cloud Dance was actually penetrated. But now it's gone in a twist, leaving the public with a shadow. What does this stand for? Her strength has surpassed the peak of the 9th level, even the great martial arts master's shock, amazement, shock. It seems that there is no way to express, at this time, the changes in the hearts of the people fluctuations. Yihan tried his best and failed again. Yihan stares at the shadow left in front of him. For the first time, he really feels fear, which is a kind of fear from the depth of his soul. Since you don't cherish the last bit of time, I'll give you a ride myself. The familiar cold voice came from my ear. Yihan wants to look around. But at that moment, the horror in his eyes was fixed directly. Because, he didn't know when a blood hole appeared on his neck, and the blood flew out of it directly. I saw that the depth of the knife could almost cut off his whole head. But the head was still around his neck, crumbling, horrifying and disgusting. Bang! The corpse fell to the ground. Under the impact of force, the head finally fell from the body. After several rolls, it fell from the challenge arena and rolled to the front of the row of tutors. When I see the head with big eyes like I'm not closing my eyes. The present tutors all secretly took a cool breath, and the astonishment also filled the eyes of all the present tutors. Especially when you see the figure on the challenge arena again. Also for the first time, the tutors on the scene felt a sense of inexplicable fear of the girl who appeared out of thin air in the challenge arena. Seeing this scene, I'm afraid no one's heart will not have that sense of terror. Well, is it really a 15-year-old girl? However, at this time, a lot of people reacted and some doubts flashed in their hearts. What is the knife that she stabbed into Yihan's body and the weapon that cut off his neck? It seems that I didn't see the weapon in Yunwoo's hand. To kill him, I'm just protecting myself. I don't think it's illegal, do I? Yunwoo stood on the challenge arena and looked at the teachers who were all shocked. The voice is light and has no ups and downs, but it makes people feel cold at the bottom of my heart. At this moment, it seems that the present tutors have long lost the superiority of being tutors and the feeling of respecting teachers. Because the strength of each one of them is not her opponent, including Lu Zi, the director of their tutor. In the face of this kind of students who are stronger than themselves, the tutors only feel infinite pressure in their hearts. The master of ceremonies responded and said, "Yes, yes, no violation." There was a trace of respect in the slightly trembling voice. This is the law of survival in this alien world. The strong are respected. As long as you have great power, you are the master of the world. But the same is true. But when you are weaker than others, you can only be trampled on by others, even you can't grasp your own life and death. She dances in the clouds, never seeking fame or profit. However, she absolutely does not allow her own life. The life she cares about is in the hands of others, without any security. So, she needs to be strong, constantly improving. This time entering the college, she not only wanted to look for the map, but also wanted to go to the Zhongwu Pavilion in the inner college. Although, this strange martial arts, she did not touch much. But Yihan's air imprisonment made her realize that the power of this alien martial art is not simple at all. This is definitely a way for the strong. If she wants to be strong, no matter what road it is, she will learn from progress. After hearing the teacher's reply, Yunwoo jumps from the challenge arena and continues to walk towards Yunqi and Yunlenji. She saw their reaction just now. To tell you the truth, for Yunlenji, because of the previous things, she has always felt cold in the bottom of her heart, and even has a strong antipathy to him. However, maybe one sentence is quite right. That is, blood is thicker than water. Although she is not a real cloud dance, she does have his blood flowing on her body. The so-called father-daughter nature, the so-called kinship, had some influence on her. Girl, are you okay? Yunqi looks at Yunwoo. Although he is shocked by the situation just now, he can't help asking with concern. Yunwoo shook his head. It's okay, he can't hurt me. Said, cloud dance line of sight but slightly slant overhead, saw an eye that cloud cold one eye. I saw a trace of concern in his eyes, but it was inexplicably complicated. It seemed that he wanted to ask a question, but he couldn't open his mouth. Come on, get back to your seat. Cloud dance opens away. Finally, in full view of the public, the three returned to their seats in the competition area and sat beside Long Qingxie. But it was just then. Whoa, whoa, the whole silent square seemed to burst out at that moment, with countless exclamations, voices of disbelief, admiration and even horror. UAIA, suddenly boiling up. And what makes this scene today is the girl who they disdained to ridicule not long ago. But at this time, what scornful contempt, what arrogant ridicule, was replaced by the shock of horror, completely disappeared in everyone's heart. The void disappears, the shadow remains, the strange speed just now, the strength of cloud dance has brought shock to people, which is really not a little bit. Because of the noise of the cloud dance, the competition in the back was temporarily suspended. We had a rest in the morning and continued in the afternoon. At this point, in the dean's room, Lu Zi could hardly hide his excitement. He told Chi Mo what happened in the challenge arena not long ago. Originally, I met the president with the same expression of shock and surprise. Can see him, but still as mild and indifferent, continue to slowly wave the pen, as if reading something. Dean, don't you feel surprised at that girl's strength? Thinking of him at the scene, I was so surprised that I couldn't calm down. Look at the calm of the dean. It's worthy of being the president. However, Chi Mo did not lift his head and said, I saw it at that time, so I didn't have to report it to me. What? The dean was there. Then why didn't he see it? However, for this problem, Liu Zi naturally would not ask an idiot, but continued, the dean, that Yi Han died, how should the college explain to his family? Chi Mo at this time, put down the pen in the hand, lift Mao to see to that Willow's son, you're a tutor director, this problem you still need to ask me? Smell speech, Willow's son can't help but shrink neck, but can't help but again weigh. Because there is no record of Yi Han's family background in the college records, and the letter that Yi Han was admitted to the college was written by the dean himself, so I want to ask if the dean knows his family background information. Chi Mo smell speech, but eyebrows slightly wrinkled. My personal letter. Yes, 3 years ago, when Yi Han entered the college, he was holding a letter written by you, the dean. At that time, the tutor of enrollment made a special remark. Said Liu Zi. Show me the letters of the day. As soon as Chi Mo finished, Liu Zi seemed to have been prepared, so he took out a letter from his arms. The handwriting on the letter is Chi Mo's. Can Chi Mo saw one eye, that pair of eyeground can't help but sink down. Half a sound, an inexplicable flame soared, and directly burned the letter he poked tightly in his hand. It's really my handwriting, but I've never recruited Yi Han. This letter is forged. What, fake? Liu Zi frowned in disbelief. How can it be? Besides the handwriting of the dean, there is also the special seal of the dean of the college on the letter. No one can forge it. At this point, the voice of Liu Zi was suddenly heard. His eyes suddenly widened, is that the tutor in the college? What happened? Traitor. After that, Liu Zi didn't say it, but they couldn't understand it. If you can forge the handwriting and seal of the dean, you can't be a student. The only thing you can do is a tutor. For thousands of years, the tutors in the college have entered the college after many choices, and there have never been any traitors. But today, they have to pay attention to the situation. Although Shenwu Samurai College is only a college, its talents are almost all over the Zhou dynasty, even in other countries. This is just like the root of a country. If something happens to the college, it will definitely have a great impact. Dean, do you think it has something to do with the white shadow we chased but didn't catch that night? When Chi Mo heard the speech, he didn't answer. Instead, he thought about it coldly, and then he looked up at Lu Zidao. Look for the girl, the girl. Does the dean mean cloud dance? I'm going. After nodding, Liu Zi immediately turned away. It's really a big deal to see a traitor in this college. It can't be delayed. However, as soon as Liu Zi left, a figure appeared in the room. Chi Mo looked at the figure, his face was ugly and cold. You did it. I can only see that the image of the Taoist body is coming out of the void, so the gentle smile is lightly hanging on the corner of his mouth. Back then, didn't you say there was no talent in the whole college? By the way, I returned a favor to others and took a letter. Unexpectedly, after 3 years, you found out. Chi Mo frowned and looked at the man standing in front of him. He was not who he was. He was the noble man who separated from Yunwu in Shanggu town last month. This time, what's the matter? Chi Mo looks at that lofty, very impatient. After hearing the noble words, Junyi's face is still gentle and smiling. I haven't seen you for so many years. It's not too much to come to see you, is it? Younger martial brother, younger martial brother. Hear those two words, Chi-mo mood obviously dry anger flits over, I am already not where of person, don't call so intimate, I can't bear. As you are, it should be my honor to call you younger martial brother. How can I not afford it? If it wasn't. Come on, don't talk about it. I'm not interested in what happened in those years. If you have something to say, just go away. Chi-mo's tone is not good. Sublime seems to have been used to it for a long time. This time, I'll just stop by and have a look. It's nothing. If it's okay, go away. However, I just watched a very interesting game, the girl was very good. As soon as the noble words fell, Chi-mo's eyes suddenly narrowed, are you thinking about that girl? Now that she's a student of the Samurai Academy, don't think so. Oh, for hundreds of years, no matter how gentle you pretend to be, this hot temper has not changed. You want me to see you off in person, don't you? Chi-mo hears speech, seem to understand to him, but feel very impatient. Sublime seems to have heard the footsteps from outside, and shrugged. You don't need to send me. I'll go by myself. However, before I leave, I'll tell you that the girl may be the future saint of the witch clan, the daughter of the woman. People over there are looking for her. If you don't want to be exposed and found, you can drive her out of the college or protect her from being found. Of course, your identity is special, like this, but it's up to you to choose, the sublime words just came down. There was a knock outside the door. And just at the moment when the door was opened, the loftiness that had been standing in the room before had disappeared out of thin air. Chi-mo looked at the direction of the sublime disappearance, and then he looked back at the Liuzi who pushed the door and followed the clouds behind him. Her daughter. Chi-mo looked at the line of sight of Cloud Dance, compared with before, at this time in the eye but with a strange look that makes people say not clear, the way is endless. It's like he's searching her for something familiar. Looking at Chi-mo's eyes, Cloud Dance couldn't help frowning. Dean, I have brought you. Liuzi came in and said to Chi-mo. Chi-mo at this time, raised his hand toward him, you go down first, I have something to talk to her. When Liuzi heard the words, he naturally withdrew. What can I do for you, Dean? After Liuzi went out, Yunwoo also stood at the door, didn't look at Chi-mo and asked. Chi-mo was not in a hurry to speak, but realized that he had seen her several times. Then he said, do you know Huang Yingying? What? Cloud Dance smell speech, frown sign for a while. Yellow Warbler. Who is it? But when Cloud Dance was in doubt, it seemed that a fuzzy face suddenly flashed in the memory. But it was enough to let her know who it was. You know her. Yunwoo stares at him and doesn't answer the rhetorical question. Chi-mo smell speech, like helpless, like inexplicable smile. However, there was a bitter smile in my heart, because when she spoke, he had already determined that she was her daughter. Because, that charm, too much like her. Unexpectedly, he had been looking for her for so many years, but he found her daughter instead of her. Is this nature? It's okay. I'm just an old acquaintance. I haven't seen her for many years. I just saw that you look like her, so I asked. Chi-mo said with a faint smile, but his emotion had been restrained. Is that so? Yunwoo stared at him for a while, but didn't say much. To know her mother's name, it's hard to guarantee that he will know her mother's identity as a witch, thus exposing her identity. What's the matter with the dean coming to me? It's nothing. It's just that I heard about your excellent performance in the competition quota. Therefore, it's unnecessary for the following competitions. Tomorrow morning, you will follow the students from the inner college and enter the inner college together. Smell speech, Cloud Dance can't help picking eyebrows. He means, is it her? However, for the following competition, it's the same whether she plays or not. She will eventually win the quota. You go out and get ready first. By the way, I have something to ask your father. You ask him to come. Chi-mo says at this time, lift Mao of C to Cloud Dance to say. Yunwoo didn't ask much. After nodding, she left. As soon as Yunwoo walked out of the teaching building, Yunqi and others who were waiting downstairs immediately welcomed him forward. "What's the matter with the dean looking for you?" asked Yunqi. Cloud Dance looked at them, the corners of his mouth slightly yawned, said that the competition in the back is not needed, tomorrow can directly enter the inner college. Cloud Chi smells speech, immediately a happy grin. One side of the dragon did not speak evil, but, his eyes under the black sand, Cloud Dance nature will not ignore. However, Yunwoo turns her eyes and looks at Yunlenji, who seems to have some emotional fluctuations. "College, I want to see you." "See him?" Yunlenji was stunned, but soon he nodded and looked at the Cloud Dance. He couldn't help saying in a low voice, "Then I went up." Well, father-daughter dialogue, that's it. But this makes Yunqi very happy. At least, the relationship between them seems to be easing. "Then you go to see what the dean wants from you. I'll take my precious granddaughter out of the city and have a good meal. After tomorrow, our girl will enter the inner college," Yunqi said in a loud voice. Then, he took Cloud Dance and Dragon with him, pulled up the tutor and went to the gate of the college. With Liuzi as a tutor and director, they went out smoothly. At this time, the whole peripheral college people, who do not know the strength of Cloud Dance. Who dares to have any obstruction? Even if so, go backstage. At this time, no one will dare to pit a half sentence. Lingcheng. It is the town where the Samurai Academy is located, and it is also the junction of the three kingdoms. In fact, it is not far away from the colleges of the other two countries, just like the position of three tripods. The three colleges all contain each other. However, because the three colleges have an agreement with each other, students of the Three Kingdoms College are not allowed to fight in private as long as they appear in the towns of the Three Kingdoms College. If we do, the party who is responsible will bear all the responsibilities. With these agreements in place, the three countries have been in harmony in addition to their annual competitions. So, in this mausoleum city, occasionally you can see some students from other countries walking around. The characteristic architecture of ancient Rome, prosperous streets. When Yunwoo and others came out of the college, they walked towards the prosperous street. Today's weather is very good. Compared with the rainy day when I entered the college, the flow of people naturally increased a lot. So, when a few people came to the street, what they saw was the extremely prosperous scene. "Guest, come and have a look. This is the elixir we just got from the deep mountain. It's very effective. The top 10 can get a discount when they come here. Take a look. The best ancient sword has powerful energy. Don't miss it when you pass by. Girl, come and have a look." As soon as you enter the market, the cries of the roadside shops and hawkers come. Pedestrians on the street also stop and walk, looking at all kinds of goods around. "Girl, what do you like? Grandpa bought it for you." Walking in the street crowd, Yunqi asked in a very happy voice. One side of the willow see this, is very speechless. White look at him. "I say, you old man, can you stop laughing so badly? Even if this Cloud girl is your granddaughter, don't flaunt like this." Yunqi glanced at him. How can I hear someone's sour breath? His granddaughter so promising, he was happy. This voice opened is also very natural, he is happy. "I'm too lazy to tell you. Go, girl. It's my treat today. I'll take you to eat something delicious," Liuzi said, and took Yunwoo to the other side of the street. "My granddaughter, I need your treat. Just a little money is not enough for you to stuff your teeth. Wait a minute. I'll treat you if you're full." Yunqi immediately followed him, as if not to be outdone. Yunwoo and Long Qingxia are walking behind. Looking at the two old men's bickering, they can't help laughing. "Wait, are you still going to college with me?" Cloud Dance turns head to see dragon to poor evil of aspect. Long Qingxia's face under the black veil raised a doting smile and naturally reached out to catch her little hand. "After seeing you enter the college safely, I will leave and go to Longziguo." Long Shugua. Cloud Dance hears speech, pondered for a while, and then says, "How long will it take?" 1 year at most. Long Qingxie made a low promise. A year? That's enough. When he comes back, it's time for her to fulfill her promise. Well, I'll wait for you to come back and marry me. Long Qingxie gave a low smile and tightened her hand. What are you laughing at? Yunwu turned his head and looked at him strangely. It's rare to see you take the initiative, isn't it? I've been fascinated by you at last. Long Qingxie's joking way. Smell speech, cloud dance I ground brush once put on streamer, some want to pinch his impulse. This man, that mouth always seems to have some. However, when he was laughing in a low voice, Yunwu suddenly outlined the corner of his mouth and joked like him, yes. I'm crazy about you, so you're responsible. But did not think that her words fell. Her side man Asinleng grasps her hand also to hold tightly in a flash, as if the body was stiff. Although the black dosha is separated, it seems that it can't separate the suddenly hot sight. Is that true? His low voice was tinged with a hint of hoarseness. Cloud Dance subconsciously swallowed saliva, was his too hot line of sight to see, some at a loss. There was no response. Until, in front of that big voice. What are you doing? Come on, keep up. Yunqi's loud voice suddenly made Yunwu calm down. After clearing his throat, he raised his eyes to meet him and said seriously, I never joke. In fact, she just really wanted to learn from him as he pondered the joke. Obviously, this man seems to care. See, in the Cloud Dance that answer, black dough gauze under that Zhang Yi Rong burned face, immediately grin. Come on, have a good meal. Long Qingxie grabbed her hand and walked forward happily. Cloud Dance looked at the man, corner of the mouth helplessly smile. It seems that both men and women actually like some sweet and greasy words. One of the biggest restaurants in the city. Because living in the prosperous street in the city, it's just noon. When Yunqi took them to the restaurant, they were full of friends. If it wasn't for the tavern man who knew Liuzi and knew that he was the director of Shenwang Warrior Academy, I don't know when he would have a position. Although it was a small crowded table in the corner of the hall, I sat down. Girl, I tell you, the food in this family is very delicious. I'll come and have a meal whenever I have time. After sitting down, Liuzi said to Yunwu. And at this time, the shop boy also came to ask a few people what to eat. Liuzi also quickly ordered the restaurant's several signature dishes. Although there are many guests at this time, it seems that because of Liuzi's identity, the dishes will be ready soon. However, at this time, the Liuzi's vision just looked at the dragon Qingxie who was sitting beside Yunwu and had not made much noise. I said, boy, when you eat, should you take off the things you have on your head? Long Qingxie is the identity of Long Shizhi. As a teaching director, it is impossible not to know. Naturally, he also knows the situation in his rumor. However, it should not even eat when you do not pick it. But after Lu Zi's words, Long Qingxie didn't respond. Yun Qi, who was sitting next to him, glanced at the willow. Wearing it or not is the freedom of others. You care so much what you do and eat your food. What else did Liuzi want to say? But the dragon, who had no action, really reached out and took off the black veil on his head at that time. But in the next second. Suck. The sound of pouring air spread all over the hall in an instant. And without a moment, the sound of distaste from near also began to spread at the same time. Who is that? It's too scary to look like this. Dare to go out even if you look like this. How dare you go out like this? The restaurant hall is full, even if the seat of Yunwu and others is in the corner, but this kind of disgust-like sound, or quickly spread one after another. It won't take a moment. Almost even the people on the second floor looked down along the voice of the discussion around them. Seeing that, I have no appetite. That's right. It's really disgusting. It's hard for people to eat. There is no virtue left behind in all the comments. This let Cloud Dance that eye's bottom flashed a cold and sharp streamer. However, Sitting beside her, Long Qingxie was indifferent. Holding the chopsticks, he ordered the dishes for Yunwu first. His voice was hoarse and he said, "Eat." This man, he did it on purpose. Looking at the man's deep black eyes, Cloud Dance in the cold eyes, suddenly flashed a smile. I don't quite understand his intention. But he also picked up his chopsticks and gave him a piece of meat. You are really disfigured. When Liuzi looked at the dragon's face, he was stunned for a few seconds and then said something subconsciously. But he seems to be an idiot. Long Shitzi is another well-known waist in addition to the waist of Miss Yun Jiajiu. It's not only easy to be destroyed, but also broken. At the beginning, when the emperor of the Zhou dynasty decided to marry them, it can be said that no one in the whole Zhou dynasty knew it. For a long time, it was a joke that people mocked. Chief, don't you see that? The dragon pours its evil and its mouth is slightly raised. I saw that his burned face, because of that smile and twisted wrinkled together, extremely ugly. It seems that Yunqi did not expect that the face under the perennial black veil of Dragon 3 was so severely burned. Almost none of them was flat, but all of them were potholes. Even half of the lips were burned. He that weak, Badian gave Cloud Dance to him, which obviously embarrassed their Cloud family and wronged his granddaughter. Although Yunqi has heard of the appearance of Long San, he has never seen it. Now, with this view, a faint anger rises in his heart. Even if his granddaughter is a waste, no matter how unhappy, it is also the blood descendants of their Cloud family. But the betrothed object is like this that Zhou Batian really deceived people too much. Seeing Yunqi's sinking face, it seems that his anger rises faintly. However, Long Qingxie's smile rises a little deeper. What he wants is really Yunqi's dissatisfaction with Zhou Batian. Because it won't be long. When he really appears in his true identity, it means that one day, it is very likely that the Cloud family will need to choose between the Cloud Dance and the royal family. The Cloud family has been a general for generations, and their loyalty to the royal family of the Zhou dynasty can almost be obtained. I hope that one day in the future, they will not let Yunwu down in their choice. Damn, I'm not allowed to eat. I'm going to change tables. Little two, roll over here, we need to change tables. At this time, the next table, suddenly came a loud tap table sound. See only, a few young men, a face anger of stand up from the table, angry voice up. The hall, which was still noisy, suddenly became silent. The line of sight toward that pats the table several people to look in the past. My guest, the shop is full. I really can't change tables. As soon as the second brother heard this, he rushed over and said respectfully to the young people. The head of a slightly fat man, grabbed the collar of the small two. I don't care if you have a table. Anyway, change the table for us immediately, otherwise, let the people at the next table get out. That's to say, even if you look like this, it's intended to be a personal disgust. Several young people immediately disliked the agreement. As soon as he saw that it was Liuzi's table, he was in a dilemma. My guest, I'm really sorry. All the guests in the hotel are our distinguished guests in Juxian building. I really can't. However, before the second brother finished speaking, the fat man was impatient and left him. The second little brother didn't stand firm and ran into the Cloud dancing table. That has not started the dish, suddenly bang, was knocked down next to a dish. Yunqi is not in a good mood at all. When she encounters this kind of thing, her face looks very ugly. Even the willow on one side was downcast. In this Lingcheng, the city where the Samurai Academy takes root, no one dares to smash the restaurant so arrogantly. These young people, it seems, have some eyes. I'm sorry, distinguished guests. I have something to say. I have something to say. As soon as the shopkeeper saw that the situation was not right, he immediately came over. At this time, the guests are full. If you start, it will affect others, and the loss will be great. However, when the shopkeeper saw the willow in the corner, his face changed obviously. Immediately, he bowed to the willow and called respectfully, Tutor, director. So you are here. I'm sorry to disturb your meal. See, that shopkeeper a waste respectful call, immediately let the people in the hall at this time is a sign lang. Tutor director. Is that the tutor director of the Samurai Academy? At this time, it seems that many people noticed that the school uniform on Yunwu and Longqingxi seemed to be the school uniform of Shenhuang Samurai College. All of a sudden, many people can't help looking at Liuzi. They begin to look at the Dragon 3 in their eyes, and gradually converge. If it's the director of the college, talk to the students. Who dares to offend those present without words and without reason? Even the young people who were just shouting at the table were stunned and looked at each other as if they were worried about each other. However, the slightly fat man, in full view of the public, felt that he couldn't get off the stage. Shopkeeper, even if he is a tutor, he should not be so disgusting in public places. Your restaurant is a place to eat. Fat man's voice, also some loud like spread. Cloud Dance a listen, coldly stirred up a smile. Then you mean, we don't like to eat? When the fat man heard this, he immediately swept to the clouds. When the line of sight swept to her body wearing a freshman badge of ordinary students, there was a trace of disdain in her eyes. I don't know if you're here for dinner, but since your friend looks like this, it's better not to be disgusting and frightening. What's more, you have just heard your voice, but your behavior has seriously affected us. After the fat man finished, he glanced at his companion. The others, though they seemed to have some idea about Liuzi and Yunqi, still spoke in a thick voice and agreed with each other. That's right. You heard what you just said. You have affected our appetite. Naturally, we have every effort to change tables. It's just. Long Qingxia's words to those people flashed through his dark eyes, but his mouth seemed to evoke a strange smile. I don't know. How can you have an appetite? So that your appetite will not be affected? Hoarse voice, with a touch of strange color of the ring. All around the line of sight, at this moment Brush looked in the past. When the fat man heard this, he suddenly snorted coldly, since the tutor and director of your college are here, we don't want to make a big fuss. As long as you apologize to us and then leave, or put back your dosha, that's all. Apologizing? Hearing those words, Long Qingxia seems to have heard some jokes, haha. What are you laughing at? Seeing the smiling face of Long Qingxia, the fat man narrowed his eyes and was obviously in a bad mood. Nothing. It's just interesting to hear a clown's words. Clown. The fat man reacted, and his face suddenly became angry. You call me a clown? He is such an ugly and low-level person, dare to abuse him like this? At this time, the badges on Long Qingxia's body, like Cloud Dance, were the badges of ordinary freshmen. People with a clear eye can see it at a glance. Therefore, he didn't pay attention to Yunwu and Longqing. As for the two old men around them, although they were worried, they didn't worry much. Because this is the Mausoleum City. A city with agreements with other two countries. These young people are the students of the Kingdom of An, one of the three big countries. As long as they don't do it first, even the tutors of the college can't do it to them. As a matter of fact, when these young people passed through the mausoleum this time, they just heard that the mausoleum is more prosperous than other countries, so they wanted to take advantage of the adventure of going out of the college to visit it. Did I scold you? Now that you are in the right place, you can't blame me. Long Qingxia's hoarse voice seems to be getting low gradually. On one side, Yunqi, who was full of fire, was stunned when he heard the sudden low voice of Long Qingxia. So familiar. It's very similar to the one in Ningyu, and soon, Yunqi can't help but stare at the dragon. He should not be that. At this time, Yunqi's heart changed, and the students of An Kingdom naturally didn't observe. The fat man's face became ugly after hearing the speech. Well, that's the attitude of the Samurai Academy people towards foreigners. Okay, since it's you who picked the first thing, don't blame us. At the same time, the fat man suddenly stretched out his hand and pointed to Yunwu and Longqing. Now, in the name of the students of Huangshu College of the Kingdom of An, I challenge the students of Shinwu Samurai College. Next challenge. As soon as the fat man's words fell, the voices all around were silent. This book had a quiet lunch, but unexpectedly, such a scene happened. However, when people present heard the 3 words of the challenge, they seemed to be interested in it for some reason, and they were excited. This is the site of the Samurai Academy. Take the challenge. That's it. Take the challenge and fight. Duel. One side of the shopkeeper with small 2, hear the voice of those people, immediately can't help but some anxious to see Liuzi. How can people in this mausoleum city not understand the badge strength sign on the students' school uniforms? The reason why Yunwu and Longqingxi wear school uniforms to the restaurant did not attract many people's attention is that the ordinary badge on their school uniforms shows their inferior strength. At this time, he was challenged by students from other countries. If you take on the challenge and defeat it, it will not be very good for the reputation of the Samurai Academy. However, I didn't wait for the shopkeeper and sophomore to worry too much. When the fat man pointed to Yunwu, Liuzi looked at the fat man with a sneer. Challenge that girl. I'm not afraid to go back. The noise around was getting louder and louder, but Yunwu and Longqingxi didn't move, which made the fat man feel warm-blooded. He pointed to the cloud dance and the dragon, and sneered. You 2 cowards, dare to take my challenge? If you don't dare, you'd better apologize to me and get out of here. Cloud dance and dragon poor evil a listen to, the corner of the mouth is very tacit understanding of cold. How stupid is this fat man? He came to the door looking for death. Your challenge is not worthy of us both. The cloud dances lightly to smile a similar way to rise. When the guests around heard Yunwu's words, they seemed to make a mockery of it. 2 low-level strength, unexpectedly said does not match them 2 people to start, that tone is too big. Although the fat man did not show his strength, from his steady breath, you can guess that his strength is certainly not weak. When the fat man heard this, he laughed with laughter. Haha, your tone is quite big. Well, if you take my challenge, I'll let you try the consequences of too big a tone. Don't worry, I'll at least show mercy to women. However, before the fat man finished speaking, a strange force of oppression suddenly fell from the air. Strong pressure, so that the fat man's words are suppressed. However, with the fat man as the center, even his companions seemed to feel the impact. But at this time, the eyes of the fat man and his companions suddenly widened, and the pupils suddenly shrank. Cloud danced that sneer face, close to appear in front of them. In a short moment, almost without blinking an eye, she stood in front of them from the seat in the corner. What speed is that? So, I'll take your challenge. A very cold voice swept by. However, looking at the strange sneer outlined in the corner of Cloud Dancing's mouth, the fat man only felt that his heart suddenly flashed an inexplicable tight. He felt that his body was empty and he was sweating. It's like he's provoking someone he shouldn't be. However, he just said that he was challenging on behalf of Huangshu College of the Kingdom of An. At this time, he was not allowed to retreat at all. What's more, how could the girl who looked so weak make him feel dangerous? He must have been oversensitive. The fat man thought of this, and suddenly he felt like he had a lot of confidence. Well, you said that, and your tutor was also present to prove it. If you start later, I won't be responsible for the injury. Of course. You are not responsible for life or death. Cloud Dance stares at him and says with a smile. See Cloud Dance that words fall, all around the guests seem to hear what words of boiling blood, suddenly a shout up. Stop talking nonsense and fight quickly. It's a duel. Fight, a high voice raised, and a fanatical gaze at Yunwu and the fat man. In this world of martial arts, nothing is more exciting than watching a fight. People around seem to want them to stop immediately. However, when he heard the words, life or death, from Yunwuku, the fat man suddenly trembled at the bottom of his heart and a bad feeling rose. How is this feeling again? The fat man who has just straightened up his waist suddenly looks at the cloud dance with a bad look, and his eye-ground vigilance suddenly rises. But in the high voice around, it can only be hardened. He is a senior student of Huangshu College. Is he afraid of such a low-level freshman? Think of here, the fat man immediately at the foot of a certain, two fists suddenly a grip. A fighting spirit belonging to the 6th level medium-term strength was aroused from the body, and the muscles of the whole body swelled up. Although, to deal with such a low-level freshman, we have all the strength, and some of them cheat the small with the big. But he can't control it. Anyway, he beat her down first. When the people around felt the breath of the middle of the 6th order, it seemed that there was an uproar of surprise. The middle of the 6th order. That man is actually the strength of the middle of the 6th stage. No wonder he is a student of an kingdom, but he dares to come to Lingqing to challenge the students of Shenwang Samurai Academy. It turned out to be such a strong strength. At that time, the onlookers around were even more fanatical, but they also felt sympathy for the low level of cloud dance. Hope, don't lose too ugly, otherwise, it's really a shame to the King of God Warrior Academy. Cloud dance see, the corner of the mouth that outlines the arc deepened a few minutes. Then, he clenched his fist slightly, twisted his neck, loosened his shoulder bone, and seemed to be preparing. Girl, don't make people die. At this time, Liuzi's low voice came quickly. Although this is the first challenge of non-kingdom students, if they hang up their senior students in Lingqing, it is estimated that there are still some small problems. Yunwu gave a faint smile and said, "Don't worry, I'll pay him back as much as he wants to hurt me. If he wants my life, I'll take his life." What? That fat man hears, originally not very good facial expression, immediately ting up a fury. Smelly girl, you are really a big voice. Is it just a big breath? She always does what she says. However, at this time, feeling the tension of the atmosphere, one side of the shopkeeper quickly raised his hand said, "Since the two of you are taking over the challenge from both sides in our store, let me be the referee. However, the position is too crowded now, so we will move the dual position to the spacious place at the door." Say, the shopkeeper let Small too quickly to the door to evacuate pedestrians, move out of an open space. The gate of Juxian building. At this time, it can be said that a large number of onlookers gathered, and it seems that many people who heard the news also came from other streets to watch the excitement. Yunwu and the fat man are standing in the empty position, and the shopkeeper is standing in the middle of them. The atmosphere is getting hotter and hotter, and the shopkeeper is not procrastinating. At the moment, he raised his arm and waved in front of them, shouting loudly, "Duel, start." With a drink, the shopkeeper immediately flashed, nimbly retreated to one side, leaving the open space for the dueling two. Roar. At the moment when the shopkeeper stepped down, the fat man made a low roaring voice. The fighting spirit surges from the body, and the strong breath is only around the cage. The whole body becomes fat and muscle, and the extraordinary strong man has strength. See here, all around the crowd, is very excited to shout up. However, there are also a lot of people who can't help but feel cold sweat for Yunwu when they see the momentum of the fat man. This kind of strong breath is fighting. Can the withered and thin girl be an opponent? This punch goes down, that small body estimates to break up. However, for the different thoughts of surrounding, what Liuzi and Yunqi are worried about is not Yunwu, but the fat man. I hope he won't kill himself later. Long Qingxia's face, which was not wearing black dosha, evoked a strange smile like a demon. His black eyes were staring at the clouds, as if he was appreciating his favorite. Cloud Dance looked at the fat man, saw his specially bulging muscles, can't help but feel a little funny. Is he fighting? Or is he playing with his body in public? However, at this time, Yunwu gently raised his little fist and measured how much strength it needed to deal with him. It seems that we don't have to show our strength at all. However, the gesture of raising her little fist is a little funny in the eyes of others. Even without fighting, just raising her little fist is like fighting against the strength of the middle of the 6th level. The girl's skull is broken. Fat Man C is also a sneer. It seems that he is really oversensitive. How powerful can this little girl who is so weak that he pinches her 2 fingers to death? Smelly girl, you have to be careful. Wait, I'll crush your little fist. The fat man disdained to shout, and his fighting spirit immediately enveloped his whole body and condensed on his fist. He stepped forward one by one, and his swift fist only called to the cloud-dancing face. It seems that I want to beat Yunwoo down with one punch. Cloud danced to hook lips to smile, looking at that straight fist to greet on own face of fist, foot lightly aside body. Got away with it? Fat man Aleng, but soon, the fundus is sneer, it seems that this girl really speed up the guy, there is no strength, otherwise also won't only know how to dodge. This thought must be, another fist of fat man once again fierce brandish. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches every punch is so fierce, there is a pledge to cloud dance to fight the momentum. But soon, the fat man was a little surprised. Because, his strength in the middle of the 6th stage, continuous and rapid boxing so many times, even the girl's hair did not touch. How is this possible? Is she stronger than him? Or, what speed skills did she learn? However, just at this time, all around watching are nervous and warm-blooded people. At this time, they seem to be dissatisfied with the evasion of cloud dancing, and can't help shouting. Come on, do it. Don't just hide. That's right, let's go. Fight quickly. For the cry of discontent around, suddenly let that look suddenly dark suddenly bright fat man heart have a plan. Smelly girl, you are fighting on behalf of your King Samurai Academy. Do you all know how to dodge? If you have the ability, don't hide, just fight me head on. The fat man was so loud that almost the whole street could hear him clearly. And in that cheering down, all around was still in an uproar of shouts, suddenly all stopped. One after another, the line of sight swept, frowning at the fat man. Although, at this time, the onlookers were not from the King of God's Samurai Academy. However, Shenwang Samurai College was the college that the whole Zhou dynasty people yearned for, and it was also the spiritual place of the young people of the Zhou dynasty. At this time, the students from other countries said in public that they would only dodge. Even if people just want to see the duel, but at this time, most people are dissatisfied. The 3 great powers are juxtaposed. At this time, they are on their own territory. How can the people of other countries be in a good mood? What's the name of the King Warrior Academy? People are all turtles with shrunken heads. I don't know why you fat man's words are so unpleasant. That is, don't think you are a student from other countries, dare to be so arrogant. This is Lingcheng. Pay attention to your words. Just now, the voice of blood shouting suddenly turned into a voice that was not full. This is somewhat unexpected. However, the fat man just ignored the noise around him. But despicable, stop at the foot of the cloud to dodge that moment, fist suddenly clenched, body shape a flash, with rapid and ferocious force, straight at the cloud's small face hit. Damn, sneak attack. It's mean. At this time, I do not know who sharp-eyed to see, suddenly rude angry call. All of a sudden, everyone responded. But at that moment, the whole street seemed silent. A pair of twinkling eyes like a touch of surprise, looking straight at it, like a scene has been frozen. How? Fat man's surprised stare, straight Leng looking at, that even Flash also didn't flash, so gently raised her little hand cut off his fist cloud dance. And the fat man's several companions, is also in that moment silly eyes like, a face can't believe looking at the cloud. How possible? That's mid-6th. Fat man almost used the power of the middle of the 6th order to give a full punch, but was caught like that? It's still a teenage girl. What's more, it was so easy to take over. How can it be? The fat man felt a sense of horror in his heart. Looking at the girl in front of him, the strange and terrible feeling seemed to seep out of his heart at the same time. Her strength, is really better than him. Cloud Dance looked at the fat man's face, the corners of his lips could not help sketching up, since you have already done it, then, now it's me. With the Cloud Dance, the words just fell. Click, click. Some kind of small sound like a broken bone came suddenly. Ah! Fat Man at that moment, the face of a white scream. Almost at the same time, he arched his elbow to pull his fist back from Yunwoo's little hand. But he just moved. Click. The sound of broken bones came again. Pain, pain, let go. Fat Man finally miserable white face of frown of hurriedly open mouth. Yunwoo smiles and glances at the fat man carelessly. Pain? What's the pain? I didn't hit you again. You are such a big man who suddenly screams like this for no reason. It's frightening to death. Do all the men in the Royal College of Ann Kingdom like to sing so much? Isn't it a sick little girl? In a word, the fat man and his companion's face suddenly changed, and their eyes were filled with anger. However, the crowd who watched the silence were surprised. When they heard this sentence, they immediately reacted and laughed. That laughter, very happy. Well said, little girl. A master, even if you play sneak attack, it's not a shame to steal chicken and eat rice, but cry like a girl. That's it. I'm so happy. When the fat man and his companions heard the words of the onlookers, their faces were ugly, their fists clenched, and they were very angry. Damn, you dare to insult our Huangshu College. I want you to pay the price of bleeding. The fat man roared, and then a strange strong breath suddenly rose from his veins. The fist intercepted by Yunwoo suddenly broke away. The numbness left in the palm of his hand makes Yunwoo pick up his eyebrows and look at the fat man who is strong again. Forced to improve the strength of the martial arts. This martial art is familiar. By the way, isn't it similar to the fat man in the team I met in the southern Warcraft forest some time ago? It seems that she really needs to study this strange martial art. The strength in the middle of the 6th level was forcibly promoted to the later stage of the 7th level, and it was promoted by more than one level. With the change of the breath on the fat man, all the people around can't help but shout and stare at the fat man in surprise. Fat man enforced to enhance the strength, there is no hesitation, suddenly forward, straight attack Cloud. There was a roar of fists. But the next second, a breathing sound suddenly spread. Attack fist failed again. No, the whole person in front of us has disappeared. Just like that, it disappeared out of thin air. Since you can't wait, let's finish early. At the moment when the fat man was stunned, a clear and indifferent voice suddenly came from his ear. What? The fat man opened his eyes and looked at the figure in front of him again. He was shocked and almost subconsciously wanted to escape. However, the small fist had come to him. It was also in that second that he knew that the strength of the girl in front of him was far beyond his strength. Even if he forcibly promoted his strength, he was still not her opponent. What kind of monster is she? Ah! Screams, again in this street. Fat man's body with his miserable cry, directly flew out of more than 10 meters, flutter, a dull sound, fell on the ground in a panic. When he got up slowly from the ground, his nose was bleeding and his whole face was swollen into a pig's head. Well, poof! A cough, a mouthful of blood with a few front teeth spit out. When he saw the teeth falling from the blood, the fat man finally cried out, "Oh Cliff!" The front teeth fell and the speech leaked seriously. When the onlookers saw this scene, they were shocked. That girl, at most 15 or 16 years old, but a punch to the 6 or 7 level strength of the strong to fly out? What rhythm is that? Is it true that the girl's strength is stronger than that of the fat man with 6 or 7 levels of strength? However, while they were shocked in their hearts, they were amused by the expression of a fat man like a pig's head. Oh, my Cliff, my teeth. Shit, it's so funny. Fat man slowly to, just cover the mouth and nose to see Cloud dance. At this time his heart is angry abnormal, but at the same time there is a trace of inexplicable fear. She is absolutely not a normal person. However, when the fat man looked at Yunwoo's steps were slowly coming towards him. Suddenly, the fat man's face changed. Suddenly, he cried, "You, don't come here, otherwise, don't blame us for being rude to you at the same time. And be rude to her at the same time." This sentence, I do not know why, said the unusual no momentum. In fact, if even he is in such a mess, even if several other people are at the same time, it is estimated that he is also in a mess. Because this girl is a monster. However, with so many people watching at this time, if he bowed his head to admit defeat first, wouldn't he be ashamed to go to his hometown? What's more, this challenge was initiated by him, or in the name of Huangshu College of the Kingdom of An. If you lose, when you return home Cloud Dance heard, I think it's funny. Although she doesn't know how to challenge the rules, if others join in the duel, it's a violation of the rules, which she knows very well. At this time, the fat man even moved out to threaten her, which shows how frightened he was. Is it? Yunwoo glanced at the fat man with a pitiful sneer. Her eyes made the fat man feel uncomfortable, as if she was laughing at him, ridiculing him and belittling him. When the fat man is angry, the corner of his eye suddenly sweeps the dragon. Haha, of course, no matter how the men in Huangshu College of An Kingdom are, they don't seem to be as cowardly as the man behind you. They only know how to hide behind you little girl and seek protection. Fat man seems to find a stepping stone immediately turned the topic. What a loser. Cloud Dance picks eyebrow, looking at the fat man who thinks that he can find stepping stone, the corner of his mouth starts a touch of irony, cold way. Do you really think the men of your kingdom can be compared with him? Well, such an ugly waste, even the lowest slave in the kingdom of Ann, is better than him. So he is not qualified to be compared with us. Although the fat man's words were not clear, they were full of irony. Of course, he managed to find something that could save his face. How could he not climb up the pole? But that's how some people's stupidity comes about. I think that I have found something that can counter-attack her, but I never thought that a man who can follow her is really like what he called trash. People who did not even think of this basic thinking are doomed to a tragic road. You think he's ugly? Cloud Dance stares at him, light smile asks away. The fat man seemed to laugh at him, it's so ugly that it's disgusting. You say it's not ugly, ha-ah. Mockery and laughter have not yet fallen, but have been replaced by a cry. The fat man's feet seemed to have been abandoned, and he knelt on the ground with a crack. In that case, I'll give you a face like that, so that you can try how it tastes. What? The fat man looked up to the clouds. Yunwoo's face is still smiling, but her whole aura has a strange change at that moment, which makes people around feel oppressed. Even the fat man's companions on the other side were not very good. They looked at the Cloud Dance in surprise and fear. Liuzi and Yunqi have never talked. It's a challenge. They don't have to do it. What's more, the fat man just insulted the Samurai Academy, which also caused Liuzi's dissatisfaction. It's just, what does she mean by that? Poof! All of a sudden, a flame suddenly jumped out of the palm of Cloud Dancing's hand. The temperature in the air rose almost instantly. Cloud Dance and the fire element vacate when, and did not give what person reaction come over, hand so lightly toward that startled stare big eye fat man face to brush. Ah! The roar of the general miserable scream, accompanied by a group of surging flames set off. This scene shocked everyone including several companions of the fat man, almost all of them were stiff at that moment. Flame? Is that real fire? How could she use the real flame in her body? The real flame produced in one's own body is totally different from the flame controlled by fire attribute. This girl is manipulating the fire element. The only thing that can control the fire element is summoner. Is this young girl a summoner? The color of shock spread to almost everyone present, including the willow. Ah! Until, that sad cry, gradually become hoarse. Cloud Dance is very casual, a general brush, the fat man wrapped in the flame, also disappeared. The smell of burnt barbecue diffused all around in that instant. The fat man fell down and curled up together, and his clothes were still intact, but his face, which was beaten like a pig's head, was directly melted by the fire, which made him sick, black and bloody. Suck. The sound of pouring air seemed to ring out in the crowd around. Fat Man's companion, when he saw the fat man's face, seemed to be frightened, and subconsciously stepped back. Looking up at the eyes of the cloud dance, it is the color of horror. They may have been wrong in the beginning. What is wrong is that you should not provoke the girl in front of you. The fat man on the ground was in great pain, only his normal eyes were staring at the clouds. It's like anger, shame, fear, unwillingness. Unfortunately, his emotions also affected Yunwoo at all. Cloud Dance, that face, from the beginning to the end, are maintaining so cold smile. Lo Mao glanced at the fat man on the ground. Forgot to tell you one thing, he is my man. Her man. This sentence seems to make people dumbfounded. My man, if anyone dares to chew his tongue, I will make him regret coming to this world. So, enjoy the experience. Yunwoo's words were not loud, but they were enough for the whole street to hear clearly. After that, the whole street was silent again. One by one, his face turned white, and his heart suddenly got scared. Because, just in the restaurant, almost half of the people present have spoken out and even talked loudly. She's not going to pay for it, is she? Cloud Dance finished saying, slightly lift Mao to sweep an eye all around. In her eyes down, the crowd cannot help but shrink, the face cannot help but whitewash, a fart did not dare to voice. Long Qingxia looks at the woman who is domineering, her eyes pass by, and the smile at the corner of her mouth deepens. This little woman really made him want to rub into the blood and bone. At this time, the shopkeeper seemed to react quickly from that situation. Almost his feet trembled, and then he stepped forward and announced. The girl of Samurai Academy, Win. After the announcement of the shopkeeper, at the beginning, the onlookers were in high spirits. At this time, they all seemed to be having a rest. However, the sight is a respect and fear to look at the cloud. This girl is the summoner. Summoner. Who dares say what? Who dares to make noise? Little thing, you are so domineering that you make me want to rely on you and be a little man. As Long Qingxia came forward, he put his hand around her waist. At the same time, the low magnetic voice sounded softly in her ear. The heat was blowing, which was extremely provocative. Is it rare for him to lean on her? But I've never seen him be a little man. Even if he often leans on her lazily, it's a dormant fox. He's always waiting for the opportunity to show his most crafty nature. Just him, little man. Cloud Dance glanced at him and said, just you're a little man, come on. Dragon Qing evil smell speech, the corner of the mouth smile deepened a few minutes, but the arm in her waist, but quietly pinch her waist. You little thing, don't you know that as long as you want to be a big woman, I'm willing to be a little man for you? A little guy who doesn't understand the customs. Said, again toward her that small wild waist lifted to lift. Cloud Dance can't help but heartbeat to quicken for a while, stretched out a hand to hold his that big hand in her waist, didn't have good spirit of pinch back. However, for his words, it is a little sad. This man can really more and more understand women's mind, so sensational words really grasp her careful thinking. Although she is not a big woman, she is also a new generation of women in the 21st century. For men and women's point of view, she still maintains a relatively independent point of view, even if in love, she may not be able to be a little woman. He said so, but let her some heart. Girl, are you okay? Just then, Yinqi's voice came. Cloud Dance turned to look at the past, a faint smile, nothing, but today's lunch may not be able to eat. If you can't eat, you can't eat. Yes, don't eat outside. There are too many people. Let's go back to the canteen of the college. Liuzi said anxiously. For Cloud Dance, he has too much curiosity and excitement. Summoner. The girl in front of her may be a summoner, and the news just came out some time ago that there was a multi-department summoner on the border of Longziguo. And this girl has 5 attributes, which means she is the summoner of the 5 departments. Thinking about this, Liuzi can't help wondering whether she is the powerful girl summoner who appeared on the border of Longziguo some time ago. Whether it was or not, he had to take her back to the college. Summoner's identity is too precious, too rare. Under the watchful eyes of the people, is now making such a big noise that it will not be spying on the eyes of other countries. Although this girl is a member of the Cloud family, there are always accidents. Let's go. Yunwu didn't say anything to Longqingxi, so he followed them behind and prepared to leave. All around the crowd, see this nature quickly back. It's just that. Cloud Dance and Dragon Qing Evil just walked a few steps, behind him came the fat man's companion, trembling voice like opening. This matter, we Huangshu College will not just let it go. If you have courage, you will leave your name. However, as soon as the words fell, the strong breath of Liuzi, who was walking in front of him, came to the cage. I haven't settled with you for insulting our Shenwang Samurai Academy. You'd better make a cruel remark first. Go back and tell your dean that future students of Huangshu Academy will be banned from entering Lingcheng. Get out of Lingcheng immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for inviting guards out of the academy. Will take you out. In his majestic voice, he spread anger. The words instantly changed the faces of those people, including the fat man on the ground. Liuzi, Yunqi, Yunwu, and Longqingxi were walking out. The onlookers immediately backed out of the way. With a trace of respect and surprise, I watched Liuzi, Yunwu, and others. The news of the duel at the gate of Juxian building soon spread all over Lingcheng. At this time, in the box of an elegant and quiet restaurant on the other side, the man who is having lunch is extremely elegant and noble. Cluck. There was a knock at the door. Then, he saw a figure coming in quietly and said respectfully to the man who had dinner. Your Highness, news just came that there was a duel at the gate of Juxian building in the north of the city, and one of the girls seemed to be a summoner. As soon as the words of the man in black fell, Zhou Feiyu's hand with chopsticks seemed to stop. But that's all. After a while, Zhou Feiyu continued to eat the dishes gracefully, and then said, bring the people who have the news. Yes, not long after the figure in black retreated, another figure came in. Your Highness, it's done. Wu Han respectfully said to Zhou Feiyu, who was full of noble air. Zhou Feiyu then put down his chopsticks and glanced up at Wu Han. Please accompany me to the north of the city. 5 Cold One Leng, however, but quickly respectfully nodded, good. However, just then, there was another knock at the door. Come in. As soon as the sound of 5 colds fell and the door opened, the man in black came in with a pale middle-aged woman. As soon as the hands in black were released, the middle-aged woman's feet were soft and she sat on the ground. Uncle, I'm just an ignorant woman who buys vegetables in the market. I haven't done anything wrong. Did you catch the wrong person? The middle-aged woman looked up at the master Zhou Feiyu and said with trembling. She is really innocent. A good vegetable vendor suddenly appeared, a man in black, and dragged her into this expensive restaurant in public. The middle-aged woman's face changed and her legs trembled. Wu Han looked at the middle-aged woman who was dragged in, and the bottom of her wise eyes was also a flash of doubt. Zhou Feiyu raised his eyes and looked at the middle-aged woman. It's said that you are the one who sent the news that there is a summoner in the north of the city. There seemed to be a sense of authority in his low voice. The middle-aged woman moved back a little bit, but quickly shook her head. No, it's not me, it's me, I also heard others say. Zhou Feiyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Seeing this, the middle-aged woman worried that he didn't believe it, and quickly said, it's true. It's just a short time ago, I heard it from a guest who just came from Juxian building in the north of the city. Moreover, the news is not only heard by me. Now I'm afraid most people in Lingcheng know it. If you don't believe it, you can ask someone in the street. It seems that the woman did not lie and could not ask anything. Finally, Zhou Feiyu waved his hand and let the man in black take the middle-aged woman out. Your Highness, do you think that the summoner among the middle-aged women is the Wufeng girl? Wu Han looked at Zhou Feiyu and asked in a low voice. Some time ago, news came from the border of Long Ziguo that a powerful girl summoner named Zitong was born. At that time, in the name of Long Shao, Zhou Feiyu, who was far away from the other border town, clearly got the reason to return to the imperial city. However, on the way back to the imperial city, after hearing the news, he directly turned to the border of Long Ziguo. Although there was no trace of the girl summoner after all, for more than a month, Zhou Feiyu refused to leave, but stayed in the border area. Although Zhou Feiyu was also in this period of time, by the way, he was trying to win over the forces of this border town. But how can Wu Han not know that he has followed His Highness's mind for more than 10 years? Is that woman named Wufeng really so important to Your Highness? It's so important that even the important matter of going back to the imperial city to seize power can be delayed and ignored again and again? As soon as Wu Han asked, Zhou Feiyu stood up from his chair. His eyes were not in much mood, but his voice was low. Don't ask too much, just do your own thing. With that, Zhou Feiyu turned and left the wing room. Five cold looking at that figure, in the heart suddenly quietly rose a kind of not very good premonition. Your Highness, is it true that Juxian building in the north of the city? After the duel not long ago, the restaurant was still full of friends. However, it seems that all the people in the room have no appetite to eat, and they are all talking feverishly about the shocking duel just now. You say, what is the origin of that girl? It's not small to be able to appear in the Samurai Academy. What's more, it's not easy for the tutor to bring him to dinner. That's right. The fat man just now really didn't know his face. He spoke so badly that he offended the girl and suffered. As soon as the man's words fell, many people around him suddenly quieted down. It is obvious that those who stopped talking must be the same people who didn't know their faces not long ago. But in the end, there are many people who are embarrassed to change the topic. Don't mention the fat man. How unlucky. That's right. However, not long ago, it came out that there were summoners on the border of Longshu Kingdom. Now we also have summoners in the Zhou dynasty, and they are also students of Shenwang Samurai Academy. It's really exciting. Yes, the students of Shenwang Samurai Academy represent our Zhou dynasty. In the future, people of our Zhou dynasty can walk around with a certain air. Yes, as people of the Zhou dynasty, we have so much face. There seems to be no taboo in the loud voice of discussion, which is called a frank and happy. When Zhou Feiyu and Wu Han stepped into the Juxian building, they heard that kind of bold talk. The second younger brother is pouring tea up and down, and the shopkeeper standing in front of the counter immediately smiles when he sees the two men with extraordinary temperament. Gentlemen, are you here for dinner? I'm really sorry, but there may not be any seats yet. Why don't you wait for a moment, and I'll let the sophomore go. However, before the shopkeeper finished, an ingot of gold was thrown to the counter. The shopkeeper's eyes brightened when he saw it. We are not here for dinner, or we want to ask the shopkeeper something. 5 cold gentle mouth. One thing. The shopkeeper was stunned. But it was the merchant who responded immediately, nodded respectfully with a smile. I don't know, what do you want to ask, young master? As long as the little one knows everything and says everything. Hearing the manager's sharp tongue, Zhou Feiyu slightly frowned and glanced at the manager's face. However, he still asked, I heard that a duel just happened here. Yes, it's just around a stick of incense. One of the girls is the summoner. I'm not sure if it's small, because the girl didn't show that she was a summoner, and didn't see that she was wearing a contract ring, but she could control the fire element. The shopkeeper's very clever answer. Zhou Feiyu glanced at him. What's the girl's name? What kind of looks? Young master, it's a small question for you. The girl didn't disclose her name from beginning to end. Even before she left, she was provoked by the opponent. As for her appearance, it's very common. It's nothing special, but she looks a little pale. Ordinary. What color are the eyes? Black. Hearing this, Zhou Feiyu's face finally sank. The shopkeeper was also a sharp-eyed person, and immediately added, although the girl is very mysterious, I don't know what she came from, but she is a new student of Shenwang Samurai College. If you want to find the girl, you might as well go to Shenwang Samurai College. Are you sure you didn't lie? Zhou Feiyu squinted at the shopkeeper. That look in the eyes let the shopkeeper can't help but heart-dark shiver for a while. No, sir. If you don't believe me, you can ask my guests. At this time, the guests at several tables who had noticed the situation at the front desk for a long time began to echo the manager's words. That girl is really from the Samurai Academy. She is wearing the uniform of the Samurai Academy. That's right, and it was brought by the director of Shenwang Samurai Academy. We all saw it with our own eyes, and we can't make a fake. That's right. People have just left. Your Highness, why don't you go to the college and see if you can catch up? At this time, Wuhan asked Zhou Feiyu in a low voice. I'll go myself. As soon as Zhou Feiyu's voice dropped, he turned around and left the restaurant neatly. 5 Cold quickly followed forward. After the shopkeeper looked at them and left, he turned and collected the ingot of gold. He yelled at the little second brother happily. Xiao Er, at noon today, a plate of signature dish will be given to each table for free. It's my treat. Good. On the other side, however. After Yunwu and others leave, Yunlenji enters the Educational Administration building and comes to the dean's office of the college. When you enter the room and see Qi Mo, Yunlenji is obviously stunned. It seems unexpected that the dean of this college is so young. Are you the father of Yunwu? Come and sit down. Qi Mo looks at the cloud cold that pushes the door and enters, after the eye looked at one eye, then called him to the side rest seat to sit. After Yunlenyi sits down, Qi Mo goes over with a cup of tea and puts it on the table in front of him. Have some tea. Thank you. Yunlenyi is quite polite. Qi Mo sat to his opposite seat, just a gentle smile of self-introduction. My name is Qi Mo, is the dean of this college. However, without waiting for Yunlenyi to speak, Qi Mo then said, General Yun should be busy with military affairs. How did he come to Lingcheng? Cloud called Yileng for a while, he always can't answer to say, at the beginning is his father just let him follow. Now, however, he felt that it was good that he came out. When my daughter enters the college, I'll stop by and have a look. This answer seems to make Qi Mo smile inexplicably. I can't see that General Yun is very kind. This daughter came to send her to the college by herself. However, I heard that Yunwu ranked 9th in the Cloud family. Since childhood, she has been a diseased seedling with 0 talent. It seems that she has not been very popular at home since childhood. Smell speech, Cloud cold eyebrows slightly see you once. Yunwu is a waste of Miss 9. Almost all the people in the Zhou dynasty know it. If someone asked him that before, he would not hesitate to answer, but now it makes Yunlenyi feel embarrassed and depressed. The strength of Cloud Dance is absolutely unexpected to him. But human nature is like that. When it's a waste, it doesn't look good. However, when one day you find that the waste in your mind has already surpassed yourself, or even higher, it will raise a sense of regret, surprise, and joy even sometimes, because Cloud Dance is his daughter, and rise a kind of incomparable pride. I don't know, Dean. What do you mean by that? Cloud Coldy raises mouth to see to that. Qi Mo said with a gentle smile, it's nothing. I just feel that I have a lot to do with that girl. Moreover, I just found out that I still know Yunwu's mother. Said, Qi Mo, that pair of inexplicable deep eyes, tightly staring at Cloud Coldy. Not surprisingly, after hearing the words, Yunlunyi's eyes suddenly passed an undercurrent. Then, like a wave of anger from the bottom of the eye. Are you old acquaintances with her? Some gritted their teeth and asked angrily. Chi-mo nodded, yes. I should say I knew her long before you. Yunlungi suddenly sank, clenched her fists and stared at Chi-mo. Is her disappearance related to you? At that time, he was on the march to fight. When he got home, almost all the people in Yunfu said that Huang Yingying left with a man. Because of the problem of face, he banned the rumors spread by all the people in the house, and even said that she was dead. Over the years, the reason why he has been so indifferent to Yunwu is that it accounts for most of the reasons. He is a man who can stand everything, but what he can't stand is the betrayal of his beloved woman eloping with another man. Looking at Cloud Cold E, that kind of reaction, Chi-mo finally converged that gentle smile. Then changed into an inexplicable cold, eyes sharp and cold. So, as her husband, you don't trust her so much? Think of the woman who has been in his heart. Chi-mo, always with gentle disguise of June face, for the first time raised a sense of anger. For she is not worth, but also in jealousy of this man. For what so-called mission, so-called destiny, she refused him and chose such a man. Originally, Chi-mo thought, that would be a what kind of man, did not expect to be such a bastard man. When Yunlungi heard the words, his heart suddenly tightened, as if he had been touched by someone for a long time, and his mood was uncontrollable. That's between me and her. If there's nothing wrong with the dean, I'll go first. The wound has been buried for more than 10 years. I thought I didn't care, and even forgot. It can be found only when it is touched. It turned out that all the pain, such as that year, also came strong, like scale, a touch of pain. You can go, but before you go, I need to tell you that since you choose not to believe her, keep your mood. Say, Chi-mo hand a void to brush past, separate empty to open the door of the office. Signal that Yunlungi can leave. What does he mean by that? When Yunlungi heard his words, his face suddenly became a little chilly. What is keeping that mood? What does he want to say? Can be very obvious, at this time of Chi-mo, and did not prepare to talk with him. Cloud Cold E looked at that Chi-mo and finally turned to leave. Maybe, as he said, he really lacks trust in Huang Yingying. However, what happened in those days was so complicated that even he is a little confused now. When Yunlungi leaves the educational administration building and is ready to go out of the college to find them, he sees them returning. Dad! Why are you back? Don't you mean to go to dinner? Don't mention it. Let's go to the canteen. Yunqi also expressed some helplessness about what happened in Juxian building. However, Yunqi's words fell, but Yunlungi said, Dad, since Xiaowu has been determined to enter the internal college, let's go back. Go back. As soon as Yunlungi's words fall, Yunqi and Yunwu can't help looking up at him. What's the rush? It's still early. What's your hurry? Yunqi said. After looking at Yunwu, Yunlungi can't hide the complicated streamer at the bottom of his eyes, so he has to move his eyes and look at Yunqi. It's been more than a month since I came out. I still have a lot of military affairs to deal with. Dad, if you still want to play here, you'll stay a few more days, and I'll go back to deal with them first. With that, Yunlungi passed them and left for the gate of the college. Yunqi looks at his back and frowns. How can he see that he is not right? Girl, originally my grandfather wanted to accompany you, but your father seems to be very busy, so we'll go back first. If anything happens, please let us know. After I go back, I'll send some people here to guard. Well, I see. Go back. Cloud Dance nods to smile away. In fact, it is impossible for Yunwu not to notice the wrong look in Yunlungi's eyes. But he went to see the dean. What did the dean say to him? It didn't take long, just like trying to escape from here. Yunwu looks at Yunqi waving his hand and chases her back. He really feels confused. At this time, Liuzi grinned at the cloud. That girl, how about the three of us go to the canteen to have something to eat? It's on me. Yunwu took back her sight, raised her eyes, looked at Liuzi with a very kind smile on her face, and said with a smile, "Director, if you have something to do, just go to work. We're not hungry. I want to go shopping." Liuzi wanted to say something, but he didn't insist on it in the end. His most urgent mood now is to go straight to the Educational Administration building and tell the dean that the girl of the Cloud family is a summoner, which is the most important thing. At this time, the two figures appeared at the gate of Shinwang Samurai Academy. This is Shinwang Samurai Academy. Outsiders are not allowed to enter. If you are a student, please show your badge. Without waiting for Zhou Feiyu to approach Wu Han, he was stopped by the 6 guards of the college. "I want to find someone." Zhou Feiyu's sharp eyes glanced at the guard who blocked his way. The leading bodyguard shivered. But he said with a serious face, "Who are you looking for? If you want to find someone, show your identity and check in." For these official bodyguards, Zhou Feiyu's eyes sank. But he still turned his head and gave a look to the 5 colds behind him. 5 cold understand, then turn around, go to the other side of the gate of the registration office. When Wu Han turned back, another bodyguard came back, muttering in the ear of the leading bodyguard. It turned out to be the 7 princes. "I don't know." The 7 princes came to Shinwang Samurai Academy this time, and they wanted to find someone to come to. The leading bodyguard took a look at Zhou Feiyu, and asked seriously. Shinwang Samurai College has strict rules. Generally, in this college, noble status is another thing, and special treatment is another thing. "I want to see the director." "Tutor director?" The leading bodyguard was stunned. The director just went in. However, he nodded quickly, "Please wait a moment. I'll have someone tell me." The leading bodyguard said that, and then he gave a look to one of the bodyguards behind him. Soon, the bodyguard went to the college. However, at this time, a figure came out of the college. General Yunda. Yun Lengyi. When Wu Han saw the man who came out, his eyebrows suddenly picked. Zhou Feiyu also raised his eyes to see the past. At this time, Yun Lengyi seems to have noticed the existence of Zhou Feiyu. He pauses for a while and then walks towards him. 7 princes. Cloud Coldy respectfully arched hand to respect to shout. "Why are you here?" For Zhou Feiyu's inquiry, Yun Lengyi simply replied, "Back to your highness, a few days ago was the day my little daughter entered the college. My father and I just had time, so we came to have a look." "Little daughter?" Zhou Feiyu's sharp eyes look at Yun Lengyi. "Is it the father's wedding to the 9th lady of the Dragon 3? I remember, didn't she get sick from childhood? How did you get into the King Warrior Academy?" Cloud Coldy smell speech, can't help but eyebrows see you once. "I don't know why. I didn't feel anything before, but now I feel harsh and uncomfortable. What waste is sick? Who is chewing the tongue of my 9 girls?" At this time, a loud voice came from the college. Then Yunqi came out. When he saw that week's non-feather, Yunqi obviously frowned. After a pause, he stepped forward and said, "It turned out to be the 7th prince. I thought who was chewing his tongue here. However, the 7th prince is not in the northern border town. How did he come to Lingxing in the south? Yunqi. Is the old master of the Cloud family here?" When Zhou Feiyu saw Yunqi, his eyes narrowed slightly, and he said gently, "Is Mr. Yun here to send Miss 9 to the college?" Yunqi looked at Zhou Feiyu. "Well, the old man is idle at home. When he comes to see off 9 girls, he also comes to see his old friend. I don't know who the 7 princes are looking for when they come to the King Warrior Academy. It's nothing. I just want to find a tutor and ask what conditions I need to enter the college halfway." "Into college? 7 princes, do you want to enter this college?" "Well, why not? He is an old man. Why not? It's just strange. Although these 7 princes have been in the border city of the battlefield all the year round, he is not too old to be ignorant. The 7th prince is a concubine prince who can only assist the prince because of his low status as a mother. However, When he was young, he entered the army with his own strength and played his own forces. He was also honored as the first youngest regent. Although the queen has blocked him, he will return to the imperial city sooner or later. What's more, a month ago, he heard that the 7 princes had a lot to do with Long Shao, and he was going back to the imperial city under the name of Long Shao. How did you show up in Lingxing today? You want to go to college? However, since Yun Qi is an old man, he will not go to break this doubt. It's a good thing for the 7 princes to enter the college. Naturally, there's nothing we can't do. We're just about to return to the imperial city. Do you have any message for the 7 princes that I need to take to your majesty? No, I'll send someone to take the message myself. Zhou Feiyu said calmly. Yun Qi nodded. Well, if there's nothing wrong, then we won't disturb the 7 princes. With that, Yun Qi and Yun Lingyi arch their hands at Zhou Feiyu and leave. Until watching them disappear in the street. Wu Han took back his sight and said respectfully, Your Highness, the 2 heads of the Cloud family have come to the Samurai Academy. I'm afraid it's not as simple as sending that trash to the academy. Do you want to investigate? A sick waste, let Cloud home 2 top beam column to send. How to say, this reason is too exaggerated and far-fetched. Zhou Feiyu's eyes were a little deep, and the corners of his mouth were cold. They naturally have their reasons, but as long as they don't hinder the way of the king, they don't need to pay attention to it for the moment. Yes, 5 cold smell speech, also nod should weigh. But in the heart also more certain, his this highness, is really one heart for looking for that 5 phoenix girl but come. Alas. Hope that at that time, don't really be a beauty disaster. After waiting for a long time, I finally saw Yozi come out of the college. The next day. In the early morning, at the end of the night, Yang came knocking on the door again. After a night's cloud dance, I sorted it out and opened the door for her. What's the matter? I'm afraid you won't see me in the past 3 years when you enter NEI college today, so I'll see you off. At the end of the night, Yang came in and said at the same time, I do not know where to take out a burden, change hands, put in the hands of cloud dance. This is some equipment that I bought outside with the money I won. It seems that I need some equipment after entering the inner college. But the inner college is very mysterious. I don't know all about it, but you can take it. Maybe it will be useful in the future. Equipment? Cloud Dance, looking at the hand of that burden, can't help but lift eyes to see the eye in front of Fat Call of Night End Central. Don't look at me like this. I'll be embarrassed. We are friends. There's only so much I can prepare for you. Don't be too shabby. At the end of the night, Yang said with a grin. In fact, Yunwu has never admitted their friendship from beginning to end, but she is not the one who can't feel it. Thank you, don't mention it. Let's go. I'll invite you to the canteen to have a good meal before you enter the college. At the end of the night, Yang said, like an acute child, pulling Cloud Dance out of the dormitory. College canteen. When Yunwu and Yamoying appeared, because it was still early, there were few people in the canteen. However, because of the strength of Cloud Dance on the field. At this time, people in and out of the whole foreign college, seeing Cloud Dance is like seeing a goddess. Even if only a few people, the line of sight is sweeping. Passionate and excited. Even the aunts and uncles in the canteen, seeing Yunwu, today they give half a spoonful of the dishes they usually give. At the end of the night, Yang Xian was so happy that he ordered a lot of things at one go. It was only under the fierce sight of those aunts and uncles that it was enough. You can eat so much. Cloud Dance looked at the full table hill like food, forehead black line straight down. At the end of the night, Yang grinned and pushed several dishes in front of her. Although the food in the canteen doesn't taste very good, it's very good for your health. I found out these 2 days. These are all for you. You can eat more to make up your body. Benefits? Yunwu looks at the green vegetables in front of her. It seems that there are fried meat dishes. It looks like some ordinary vegetables and fried meat dishes. At this time, the voice of Bai Lao came to my mind. In order to strengthen the student's physique, these dishes are all made of high-quality Warcraft meat and some effective dishes with special methods. They contain a lot of energy. If they are eaten for a long time, they are really good for people's health. Advanced Warcraft meat? Is it Warcraft above level 6? Cloud Dance can't help but pass a trace of surprise in the heart. You know, the whole mainland of China, 9-level Warcraft are almost rare, 6-level Warcraft is very precious. This random count, the whole college at least 2,000 or 3,000 people. How could this college use the advanced Warcraft meat above level 6 to cook? Do you want to use effective dishes? But I want to know how luxurious it is. Yunwu, don't be stunned. Eat more while it's hot. At the end of the night, Yang hurriedly put a lot of money in the Cloud Dance bowl, urging the way. In the end, Yunwu ate a lot. After eating for a long time, I can't help feeling quite novel when I feel the warm current in my stomach flowing towards the surrounding muscles and veins. Although, at this time, the energy provided by these things did not have much effect on her. At the end of the night, after Yunwu couldn't eat it, Yang took all the rest, which also made Yunwu understand how her figure came from. There are more and more people in the canteen. At the end of the night, Yunwu and Yang are preparing to leave, but there is a tall figure in front of the canteen. When he saw the figure, Yunwu could not help but pause. Zhou Feiyu? Why is he in this college? However, when Zhou Feiyu's eyes swept to her, he moved away faintly, and obviously didn't recognize her. 7 princes, this is the canteen. I'll call you what you want to eat. One side of the female students, admiring looking at the wearing school uniform, also cannot cover up his handsome and heroic Zhou Feiyu, some coy like to ask. Around to see that weak non-feather girls, are also some of the fanatic. This man, however, is the triple representative of identity, strength and handsome appearance. As long as you are a normal woman, you can't help but want to throw yourself in your arms. I heard that he was a freshman who joined the class yesterday afternoon. Today's 7 princes, whose strength has reached the peak of the 8th level, were recruited by the director of the tutor as an exception. At the end of the night, Yang saw Zhou Feiyu coming in and whispered in Cloud Dance's ear. However, Yunwu didn't respond much after hearing the speech. She knew exactly who he was. Cloud Dance in the light of the recovery of sight, the next step will still leave towards the door. When crossing that week, he didn't even glance. At the end of the night, Yang saw Yunwu's unshakable attitude and praised it in his heart. It's so cool. Her friends are just like those common people. At the end of the night, Yang followed closely. However, as Yunwu just passed him, Zhou Feiyu almost subconsciously glanced at her. As he approached the canteen, almost all the women in the city locked their eyes on him, and even the boys looked at him. Only that young girl, just a light glance at him, took back her sight, a face indifferent to ignore his departure. Is she trying to attract his attention on purpose? It's certain that Yunwu and Yumoying go out of the door without even looking back. After that, Zhou Feiyu can't help frowning. He turned his head and glanced at a girl student who was flattering and admiring her eyes. Who is she? She? The girl student didn't react at first. She followed the direction he knew before she thought of Yunwu who had just left. However, without waiting for the female student to answer, other female students were the first to speak. 7 princes, do you mean the girl just now? Her name is Yunwu. She is a freshman who just entered the college a few days ago. She's the 9th lady of General Yunda's family. There was a rush of answers. After hearing the speech, Zhou Feiyu was stunned. Cloud Dance. Is she the sick trash of the Cloud family? Although her face was slightly pale, she came steadily and didn't look like a waste at all. Just as Zhou Feiyu frowned and pondered, the female student who had just been rushed to answer suddenly added a sentence as if she was unwilling to fall behind. In addition, she still stands out from the competition and won the first place in the inner college. This morning, she is going to enter the inner college with the seniors of the inner college. Above the square. When Yunwoo and Yumoying came to the square, they saw that Wuxinjiu and the other two students were waiting. There are also some onlookers around. Is that all you have? Wu Xingyu looked at the cloud dance with a small burden and asked. Cloud dance things have always been directly thrown into the space, in the hands of All Night Central to her. However, Yunwoo still nodded, Wu Xingyu looked at her and frowned, but he didn't say much. Originally intended to come out of the college, is to fight with her, for their little sister back some justice. But when he saw her hand yesterday, he understood it at that time. Don't say 5 minutes, son, even if it's his hand, I'm afraid it won't be her opponent. When the match was cancelled yesterday afternoon, to be honest, he was really relieved. Otherwise, the senior student of grade 6 who came out of the inner college was defeated by a freshman who just entered the college. I'm afraid he would not have the face to go back to the inner college. However, owing to their 5th-generation family, it's impossible to just forget it. Anyway, after entering the inner college, there are still opportunities. After taking back the line of sight from Yunwoo, Wuxinjiu didn't hesitate. He turned his head and gave a look to his younger brother. I saw the male student on his right, and I didn't know where to get a piece of whistle, put it on my mouth and blow it. Shio. A sharp whistle broke through the air. A few breathing rooms. Yunwoo was surprised to see that the transparent isolation above the college was opened. Ha! A distant and close call of birds and animals also followed. Is the transparent isolation that envelopes the air controlled by that whistle? Cloud dance line of sight, can't help but quietly toward the male student in the hands of the whistle swept a glance, eyes swept a trace of undercurrent, mouth micro outline raised. Not for a while. See a huge lion carving, hovering down from the sky. When the students around saw the lion carving, they all exclaimed and sighed, and opened their eager eyes. When will they be able to sit on the mighty lion carving and fly to the mysterious inner college? Many people are envious, but cannot help some jealousy, swept in the cloud body. Just after the lion eagle landed, Wu Xingyu and the two students of inner college jumped and stood on the back of the beast. The three occupied more than half of the position, leaving only a little space behind the tail of the carving beast. Come up. Wu Xingyu looked down at the clouds and whispered. The cloud dances to smell speech and glances at that 5-star space, how can you not know for his careful thinking? However, it is still a tiptoe at the foot, the body shape suddenly sensitive jump on the back of the carving beast. Cloud dance, be careful and pay attention to safety. In 3 years, I will definitely go to the inner college to find you. At this time at the end of the night, Chaoyun dance shouts. Cloud dance looked at her and gave her a smile. Maybe, it seems good to have such a friend. At the end of the night, Yang seemed to understand her meaning, and immediately waved to her with a happy grin. Wu Xingyu didn't feel much about their friendship. After confirming that Yunwoo had already stood up, he went to the front to learn the way of controlling the beast. It's too late to start. Let's start quickly, so as not to make the elder angry when it's too late to go back. As soon as the words of the 5 stars came down, the younger brother of the animal master understood them tacitly. He grabbed the iron rope around the neck of the carving animal, and a whistle came out. Whistling together, the beast was immediately ordered. Ha! At the moment when the sound of birds and animals broke through the air, the huge wings of the lion carving beast opened and flapped, and the huge wind surged up, and the bird body also soared in the air. If you don't get ready to stand early in the morning, I'm afraid you will be impacted directly on your back. When the carving beast soars into the air and calms down in mid-air. Wu Xingyu and the other two students turned their heads and looked at the back of the carving beast. When they saw that there was no cloud dancing behind them, the corners of their mouths rose and a smile flashed in their eyes. What? Looking for me, a calm voice suddenly came from their ears. 3 people were stunned. Immediately, the 3 people heard a turn back. When they saw the cloud dance sitting on the top of the carving beast, a look of amazement passed in their eyes. She, how is that possible? Not only did she not fall miserably as they predicted, but she also sat on the top of the carving beast's head. Cloud Dance looked at the three people in amazement, and drew a smile from the corner of his mouth. However, the smile was extremely penetrating. The three people who met her almost couldn't help shivering. Do you like to play exciting games? Since you like to play, you can do well. I'll take you to play something really exciting. What? Wu Xingyu was stunned. But at that time, Yunwu's body sitting on the top of the carving beast suddenly stood up. And just as she stood up, the huge body of the beast suddenly shook. Ha! All of a sudden, a sad birdsong broke the air. At that moment, the statue was completely out of control. It whirled and went straight down. Ah! 5-star space 3 people react to come over at the moment, the facial expression violently a change, the shrieking voice of that moment, almost out of the instinct of a dead to grasp the carving beast that iron rope. Ha! The cry of the beast broke through the air raid. In the square, the onlookers, who were watching the high-altitude leaving carved animals, were just ready to leave and went back to their classes. However, I suddenly heard something coming from the high altitude. Look up one by one. When I saw the huge animals falling down with great speed, they were stunned at first, then their faces changed, and they quickly brushed away. Bang! A loud noise, accompanied by dust in the open square raised. But this is not the end, and just after the strong shock of the collision, what stimulation did the statue get? It raised its head and roared. In a twinkling, the huge beast followed the whoosh and soared in the air. In mid-air, it spins and falls down again. Up and down after going back and forth for several times, it seemed that everything calmed down after the beast finally broke down. And the 5-star you and others who are dragging the iron lock behind the carving beast, their hair and clothes have been messy. At this time, his voice was hoarse, his stomach was upset, and his face was white. As if again, almost can't help but want to loosen the hand of life-saving iron rope, let such as fall to the ground. Cloud Dance at this time, just slowly sat on the top of the carving beast's head, eyes slightly narrowed like soul, hook lips glanced at the embarrassed 3 people on the carving beast's back. How are you 3? Did you have a good time? Happy? It almost killed them. Are you happy? However, this time, the 3 really realized the horror of the girl. She is not only terrifying in strength, but also terrifying in revenge. She is a pervert. It seems that you are quite satisfied. That's good. Now those who know the way will show us the way. I will let us rush back to the inner college before your elder is not angry. At the end of the speech, Yunwu patted the head of the carving beast lightly. The carving beast, who had just been thrown several times and had almost stopped cooking, was like beating chicken blood again. He raised his head and roared. He rotated and tilted in the air. His wings flapped fiercely and soared at a high speed. Just relax a few seconds of 3 people, face again a change, dead to grab the iron rope was not thrown out. When the powerful romantic impact came, the 3 people almost didn't make rude remarks. This damned perverted woman. However, Yunwu didn't know it was. The scene just happened in the air, from the beginning to the end, was attracted by the deep sight on the side path of the square below. Including, just when she jumped on the back of the beast. Zhou Feiyu raised his eyes and looked at the direction where the carving beast left. He looked at the sunken ground where the square had been thrown several times by the carving beast. The flowing light of the fundus is getting deeper and deeper. So much. Although the appearance of Yunwu was totally different from the little woman in his memory, the way he acted was very similar. How many women in this world can be so arrogant and sharp? Could it be her? Will it be? This question has been lingering in his heart. But the more I think about it, it seems that both of them begin to overlap, as if he can really see her shadow in Yunwu. Just, the Cloud Dance, he remembered that before he left the Imperial City, he met once. Although she was still young at that time, her bones could never be fake. She was shriveled, thin, morbid, and had no self-cultivation bones at all. Can there really be such a big change in the changes over the years? But if this cloud dance is not her. That cloud dance, but also absolutely not simple. It seems that whether Yunwoo is the little woman in his heart or not, it is necessary for him to enter the inner college. After breaking the air, it was the vast white clouds. In order to enter the inner academy, you really need to cross the steep mountain behind the Shinwang Samurai Academy. How high is it? Yunwoo didn't make an estimate. Anyway, it took a long time for the carving beast to soar up, and finally he saw the top of the mountain as if he could not bear it. It's a mountain peak filled with white clouds. From a distance, you can hardly see clearly. After approaching, I found that there are sharp stone tips on the cliffs, which seem to be made of nature. No flying animals are allowed to land on the top of the mountain. If you want to enter the college, you have to jump from here. The student who just controlled the carving beast looked at Yunwoo and pointed to a small space below. Yunwoo is not in a hurry to see this. That is to say, the eyebrow picker winked at the student who opened his mouth and motioned him to jump first. Seeing this, the student clenched his teeth secretly. Shit! So careful. However, the student turned his head and looked at another student and Wu Xingyu. Then he released the iron rope and jumped down to the open space. Then another student and Wu Xingyu jumped down. Yunwoo stood on the top of the carving beast's head, but he was not in a hurry to jump down. Instead, he scanned the surrounding area and roughly recorded the whole environmental route of the mountain in his mind, so that he could jump and go straight down. Where is the inner college? After Yunwoo landed, he glanced at the three people who were tidying their clothes and hair. Although the whole mountain is very big, there is no trace of inner college. Therefore, Yunwoo guessed that there was an array around the college, or it was isolated by something. It needed something to open and enter. It's true. It was not long after the cloud dance asked questions that the three people, who had sorted out their manners and images, put on the posture that a senior student should have. Three people went to a quick cover in front of the stone. I do not know where to take out a sign in front of the stone after. The scene immediately began to change. The ground, which used to be covered with sharp stones, gradually disappeared, and a white mist rose when you really see the scene in front of you. Yunwoo can't help but pick an eyebrow. Originally thought, we'll see a majestic college gate, or college square or something. But I didn't want to see the colorful flower garden. The fragrance of the flowers has a kind of refreshing comfort. These are medicinal flowers. Unexpectedly, the aura of heaven and earth in this place is so abundant that such a large area of precious edible medicinal flowers can be planted. At this time, Bai Laowei's voice of surprise came from his mind. Edible medicine flower? Are these the food in the canteen of the peripheral college to add this kind of medicine? Cloud Dance's eyes swept away, but also for the endless flower garden, and feel some surprise, and ready to move. Since these medicinal flowers can be used for food, if she can get some and throw them into the Chaos Palace, her cold ice jade will come out of the door, and I don't know if she will get twice the result with half the effort. Before Bai Lao also said that long-term consumption of medicine and food is good for the body. Although, with her current strength, it does not seem to have much effect, but it does not mean that others have no effect. Be prepared for the time when you can finally use it. However, just as Cloud Dance was meditating, Wu Xingyu's voice changed its gentleness and coolness. Don't think about this flower garden. It's the treasure of the senior Chinese pharmacist in the college. If you touch one, he will find it. For those who touch this flower, no matter what genius you are, he will directly leave the inner college as punishment. If you move one, you'll find it. Is that elder pharmacist so divine? However, Yunwoo didn't come to be greedy before entering the inner college. Her real goal is to make the garden safe for a while before she gets it. However, at this time, Cloud Dance also raised the corners of her mouth and glanced at the 5 stars. I'm not interested in this herb for the time being, but you three didn't take me to the inner college, but brought me here. I believe that elder pharmacist will be more interested in you. Said, Cloud Dance slightly bent down and reached out, gently touching the leg-high flower. You say, if I destroy the flower garden in this area, is it a crime of ignorance for a freshman who just entered the college and doesn't know anything? Those who don't know are innocent, but for you 3 old students, will you be directly thrown down from here by what you call, pharmacist elder? Cloud Dance in that voice, seemed to be very curious to ask away. But the 3 men in Wuxinjiu's face changed dramatically. Damn it! How can they forget the blood lesson they just learned? This woman is a pervert, how dare you? If you just touch it, I'll... However, before they had finished their threatening words, Yunwu's palm turned, and a flame suddenly jumped out of her hand. In a flash, no one was given a chance to react. The flame in her hand came out of her hand, and she was directly infected with the medicinal flower by herself. As soon as he touched the medicinal flower, the fire was ignited like fire oil, and suddenly turned into a big flame, which started to spread around in the flower garden. That's the speed. When Wu Xingyu reacted, the fire all over the sky reddened their faces, but whitened their faces. The pupils of the 3 eyes widened, and the anxious horror was clearly visible. Quick firefighting. Wu Xingyu didn't care about any image. He went to the fire as soon as he dodged. When the other 2 students see this, how dare they neglect it? In a hurry, I went straight to the past Cloud Dance, mouth slightly raised, but the line of sight swept around, mental power also spread out quickly. She wanted to see if the pharmacist elder, in their mouth, could feel it as soon as he touched the medicinal flower. Take this opportunity to find out the details in advance, which is also convenient to steal the flowers later. However, a little surprise flashed in Yunwu's heart soon. Because, just before her mental strength spread to 100 meters, she suddenly felt the fluctuation of the front position. It won't take a moment. I saw the figure of a gray robe, flashing at a strange speed. She couldn't detect his strength. It seems that it is above her. Wuzuan. Or higher. The pharmacist elder of a college has such strength. What about other elders? It seems that the inner college is really not simple. When the figure flashed, Yunwu's mental power immediately converged, and his breath converged. Who dares to be presumptuous in my garden and burn my flowers? Under the roar, a strong wind swept by. I saw that the flower garden, which was just on fire, was directly extinguished under the breath. Left a burned black ground, with the 3 in a mess of 3 people. 5 stars. Did you set fire to my pharmacy? The elder pharmacist seemed to know the 5 stars, and his white eyebrows began to frown. 5 star, you almost legs a soft, but still quickly shake his head. It's not us, elder. You see, we are fighting a fire. It's the smelly girl who set the fire. Wu Xingyu quickly pointed to Yunwu. The other 2 also nodded and pointed to the Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance didn't explain this. But the line of sight is very calm to meet the road swept over the sharp eyes. It was a middle-aged man with black hair but white eyebrows. He had a strong face and sharp eyes. Listening to the tone he had just opened, he might be an old man with a rather impatient temperament, but a combination of wisdom and sagacity. Yes, it's an old man. Even if he is now a middle-aged man, the special feature of this strange world is that when his strength reaches a certain level, his appearance will begin to recover. At this point, Yunwu really saw what was going on from the old man in front of her. He should be the strength of the card in a bottleneck, has not yet broken through, leading to such a black hair white eyebrow look. Of course, Cloud Dance is not a guess, but she just noticed. The skin on the old man's hand was flabby and old when he brushed it. The old man took a look at Yunwu, especially when he saw that she dared to greet him so calmly. He could not help but raised his eyebrows and opened his mouth. Girl, did you burn my medicine garden? Cloud Dance smell speech, seemed to meditate for a while, just lift that pair of clear without dirt eyes again, saw I 5 star you 3 people. Yes, the elders say that if I accidentally touch these medicinal flowers, I'm a genius. The elder pharmacist will throw me down here. They don't take me to the main gate, but come to the elder pharmacist's medicine garden. I think they want to see the scene of my elder you being thrown down. In order to satisfy the elders, I'll do it myself. Lying? No, what she said is really true, and it is almost according to the original statement. However, from her mouth, how all the original taste seems to have changed. 5-star you three people smell speech, facial expression don't mention how ugly, a burst of gnashed teeth. Yunwoo, you smelly girl, you. Wu Xingyu is really hard to maintain his image, and he shouts. The other two students, too, want to rush forward and beat her. But the elder pharmacist narrowed his sharp eyes and glanced at the 5 stars. Is what she said true? As soon as Wu Xingyu saw the expression of the elder pharmacist, he let out a sound in his heart. This is the rhythm of the elder pharmacist's anger. Naturally, it can't be admitted. They shook their heads almost tacitly. Of course not, elder. You can't just listen to her one-sided words. She. Isn't it? Cloud dance at this time, the sound just interrupted. 5-star you heart bottom anew, lift mouth to stare toward her. But in the second when she looked at each other, a purple light flashed from the bottom of Yunwoo's eyes. But Wu Xingyu's body was stiff in that second, and his eyes were dazed. Senior, are you sure you didn't say that just now? Cloud Dance's voice very indifferent asked A. And her voice was magical. Yes, we did mean to bring you into this medicine garden. We want you to be thrown down by the pharmacist elder. We just don't like you. You. 5-star Yu's eyes were slightly dull, and he opened his mouth to state what he thought. But all of a sudden, the consciousness seems to be relieved. At that moment, the dull eyes faded, but at the same time, a sense of horror suddenly rose in the eyes of Wu Xingyu, staring straight at Yunwoo. You. She knows how to take a soul. How possible Cloud Dance is at this time, shrugged in different way, pharmacist elder, you also heard, it seems that I haven't entered the college gate, it provoked the elders' dislike, by the elders try to get rid of, then, I jumped down by myself. With that, Yunwoo really walked towards the cliff. Looking at their pharmacist elder all the time, there was a color of doubt in his sharp eyes. He couldn't have seen the situation of Wu Xingyu just now. But this wench, how can you understand the soul-taking of Ouyang family's imperial mind skill? Are you from the Ouyang family? At this time, the pharmacist elder's deep voice suddenly came. Yunwoo, who was walking towards the cliff, stopped and didn't look back. No, but I have a negotiation with the Ouyang family. It's an old acquaintance. Smell speech, pharmacist elder's eyes flickered a trace of inexplicable color. And also at this time, a strong breath suddenly attacked. Directly a whisk hand, the 5-star universe 3 people around directly to throw out. Ah. Almost all of them didn't know what was going on, and their bodies were thrown out in a radian. At this time, the voice of the pharmacist elder came, well, now there is no one else here. Tell me, how do you know the Ouyang family and how do you know the Ouyang family's mind control skills? Or are you from the Ouyang family? Cloud Dance smell speech, eyebrow couldn't help but pick. However, at that time, she turned slowly and looked at the pharmacist elder with a smile. Elder, you are a member of the Ouyang family. It should be very clear that the descendants of the Eurasian family can't practice the art of mind control. As I said, I just had some contact with the Ouyang family. As for the art of mind control, it's also a coincidence. How do you know I'm from the Ouyang family? When the elder pharmacist heard the words, he suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked at the Cloud Dance coldly. Cloud Dance slightly young mouth a smile, met his that pair of sharp eyes. I don't know if I'm someone else, but I've been in contact with Ouyang family for several times, so I found a secret that may not even be found by you Ouyang family. Secret? The elder pharmacist's brow suddenly frowned, and his dangerous eyes were staring at her. What's the secret? Yunwoo didn't seem to hide, your eyes. She didn't know it until, at the beginning, she met him in the eyes, and suddenly had a suspicion. And all of her public use of the 5 stars Dementor, in fact, is to determine, her suspicion guess in the end is right. No accident. This old man is really from the Ouyang family. But unexpectedly, she made a discovery that made her suddenly understand why the descendants of the Ouyang family can't practice the art of heart control. Eyes? The elder pharmacist's pupil shrunk. What do you mean? What's wrong with our eyes? After staring at the elder pharmacist's eyes for a long time, Yunwoo shook his head slightly and said, there's no problem. They all have one characteristic. Maybe it's the seal mark that your ancestors didn't want your family to practice mind control. In fact, Yunwoo knows why. However, I'm not sure whether it's like what she guessed. The seal mark set. The elder pharmacist looked at the cloud dance, and his aura stood up. Little girl, what can you know when you are young? If you want to fool me, I'm afraid you can't afford the consequences. Cloud Dance smile, you don't believe even, originally, I also want to say that for that kind of seal, maybe I have a way to remove it for you, don't believe even, don't you come to send, I'll go to the cliff. With that, Yunwoo turned around and continued to walk towards the cliff. The elder pharmacist's body trembled when he heard the words. It's been banned for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years, the whole Ouyang family has been in a state of decline, which is due to the failure of Ouyang family's descendants to cultivate their mind control skills. She said she could get rid of it. Is that possible? With a teenage girl like her, can she lift the curse on the Eurasian family? I think it's ridiculous and ridiculous. However, I do not know why, looking at the girl's back, the pharmacist elder suddenly spoke. You mean it? Yunwoo still did not look back and continued to move forward, but he said, I don't have the ability to relieve you, but if it's from you, maybe I have a chance. After that, there was no movement behind him. Yunwoo didn't pay much attention to it. When she came to the edge of the cliff, she didn't hesitate to cheat. With a tiptoe, she really jumped directly under the cliff. Brush. A strange figure came and the wind swept by. A blink, and so on Cloud Dance blink again, has just stood on the flower bed. The elder pharmacist on one side looked a little depressed. You girl, do you really jump down? Do you know how high the Xianshan front is from the ground? If you jump like this, even if you have some skills, you will be broken to pieces. In fact, how can Cloud Dance really be stupid? Even if the old man doesn't stop her, she will directly use the space elements to enter the different space. She's not stupid enough to jump off a cliff. However, the old man did it, which means that he believed what she said. Didn't the elder say that anyone who touched your medicinal flower would be thrown down? If I burn such a large piece of you, I will jump down and get the punishment automatically. Cloud Dance looks at that pharmacist elder to say. It's like I'm serious. But let's smell speech of pharmacist elder, in the heart more depressed. He is not stupid. Although this girl looks naive and sincere, her scheming is definitely better than those 5 stars. That 5-star space 3 people play with her, is doomed to be played by her that release. Although he stopped her from jumping off the cliff, he didn't really believe that she would. However, what she just said really made him excited. You are a freshman, and those who don't know are not guilty. As for the 5 stars, I will punish them separately after they go back. Cloud Dance picks eyebrow. Oh, girl, is what you just said true? Can you lift the curse on me? As the pharmacist elder said this, he stared at Yunwoo with sharp eyes. Yes. But. Cloud Dance said but did not go on. The pharmacist elder is also a wise man. How can he not understand this little girl's mind? Come on, what conditions? Cloud Dance listen, immediately hook lips a smile, lift eyes to look at the pharmacist elder. Elder, you also see, this freshman has not entered the school, already let the seniors all kinds of dissatisfaction, after entering the inner college, I'm afraid life will be very sad. So, I also want to ask the elder, can you get me a pass or a brand or something? As long as you can pass freely, such as Zhangwu Pavilion and so on. Listen, she said it as if it was a small thing. But her words made the elder pharmacist's face stink. Do you think I own the inner college of the Samurai Academy? Yunwu was not in a hurry. He said with a smile, although it's not from the elder, I believe that the elder's ability and status are just a small matter. What's more, even if I can enter the Kangwu Pavilion, I just want to see the low-level martial arts at most. As a little girl, I don't think I can steal the advanced martial arts from the inner college. Is it a success? It's not worth mentioning my little request, elder, compared with lifting the 100-year ban for you, isn't it? The pharmacist elder hears speech, although the facial expression is not quite right, but, this little wench says of poor also good. Although it's true that Kangwu Pavilion can't be entered by anyone, it's not really impossible for such a little girl to enter with his status. This girl really just wants to see the low-level martial arts. It seems that her mind is not so simple, just because she is so painstaking, baiting and hooking. But think about it, with such a little girl as her, even if the advanced martial arts were sent to her, she would not understand it. After thinking for a moment, the elder pharmacist raised his eyes and stared at her. Well, I can promise you your terms, but how do you want to lift the ban on me? Don't worry. You've been banned for hundreds of years. How can you solve it so well? Of course, you need to prepare something. However, it's not too early now. Should I go to the inner college to report? Cloud Dance looks at that pharmacist elder to say. The elder pharmacist stared at her for a long time, then he regained his sight and regained his dignified expression. Well, it's still a long way from here to inner college. I'll take you there. At the end of the speech, the pharmacist elder pulled Yunwu's arm and moved in a strange direction. Even though Cloud Dance has reached the stage of Wusheng, the wind's speed in front of it still makes Cloud Dance understand that the strength difference between Wusheng and Wuzuan is very obvious. About half a stick of incense. Just left the boundless flower garden, came to a forest. The forest is extremely dense and prosperous, and the aura that comes from the forest. Is that aura of heaven and earth even thicker? Cloud Dance felt that change, can't help picking eyebrows. But at this time, there was a voice from the elder pharmacist, look, this is the first step every freshman needs to learn, that is, the step of admission. After letting go of the Cloud Dance, the elder pharmacist stood at the entrance of the forest, and began to walk around with all kinds of strange steps. What are you doing? Come and learn. See, Cloud Dance didn't move or stand in the same place, pharmacist elder, that big voice immediately shout away. Cloud Dance is coming forward. However, just after the last step, the pace of the pharmacist has been quickly repeated at the foot. One step is not chaotic, more than a dozen changes in the pace, at one go. Seeing the pharmacist on the other side, I felt silly. That's what I learned. This girl's talent is really against heaven. No wonder the elder of the inner court wants to send Wuxing Yu to challenge her. It's really, now that you've learned it, follow me, or you'll be trapped in this forest. As the pharmacist said, he moved into the forest. Cloud Dance looks at the pharmacist, who deliberately speeds up, and outlines the corner of his mouth. Not a bit slow, the speed is not slow to follow the past. Through the woods. When you see the inner college gate. Cloud Dance the corner of the mouth that smile deepened a few minutes, but quietly cover up the bottom of the eyes so startled color. Because, she clearly felt that the abundant aura of heaven and earth was sent out in the scope of the inner college. The thick aura can almost bathe people. What is the reason why the aura of this place is so strong? The inner college is there. You can go in and report on it yourself. I have to go back to see the medicine garden that you burned. When you're finished, I'll come to the gate in the evening. Then I'll give you the sign that can enter the Kangwu Pavilion. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.